I'm speaking to you over this microphone, we normally don't have to do this, but I do want to reach the people out in the foyer there too. We simply don't have enough room for everybody to come in and sit down. We're really limited to about 50 people, and that's by the fire marshal. Just to amplify and give you a flavor of how the meeting will go. Okay, can you hear me now? This thing is hard to get quite regulated, so I do apologize for that. If you would, hold the noise down, keep the conversations and no sidebars. Keep it, most of you say yourself right now. You know what happens when we have a meeting and everybody starts coming. Somebody will not be able to hear. We will not be able to hear it. During this meeting, if you have a question, direct it to, and there's reasons for that. Don't try to commissioner, just send the question directly to me. Now, I have in front of me a prepared text I want to read to you. Of course, we're here this morning to hear a request for a to add quarry as a special use under industrial zoning. We are here for no more than that cause. This does not rezone any property for use as a quarry, but if approved would allow an application to start the zoning process, which would include multiple public hearings. Okay, I'm going to try to do that. We have a lot of people here today that want to speak. We want to hear from everyone, but we're going to conduct this in a very professional manner. And while I'm looking, the signs over here, the no quarry signs, that sort of thing, don't be waving those things. Now, with the group, I want everybody to be respectful of each other. The commission board, as well as the person who is speaking. Whether or not you agree with their opinion, give them an opportunity to speak. No loud outbursts will be no over anyone, no unfounded allegations or any conduct that disrupts the process of the public hearing. If anyone fails to follow these rules, you will be called out of order. If the conduct continues, I will ask that you be removed. And that is for the safety of the entire group. I will also ask the commission board to please hold comments until everyone has had an opportunity to speak, unless you have a question for the county staff. In order to properly conduct the hearing, ensure that everyone who wants to speak will have this opportunity. We will follow this format and criteria. First, we will hear from county planning and rezoning staff, followed by the applicant, followed by public comment, and then allow applicant to rebuttal as required under the State Zoning Procedure Act and Meriwether County Zoning Ordinance. Of course, you know the rebuttal would be at the end. If you are speaking for the entire, now pay close attention to this because this comes right out of our ordinance. If you are speaking for an entire group, you will be allowed for 15 minutes. If you're speaking for a group, somebody's going to have to remove their name from the list. But if you're not an individual, you will be allowed 3 minutes to state your position or your concern. Now, Ms. Beverly has provided a sign-up sheet for those wishing to speak. Please sign in, and we'll make sure that you're given the opportunity to be heard. Now, let me say this. Even if you're in the foyer and you signed on this sheet, we will bring you forward to speak. Just like to thank you for, even in advance, for your cooperation. This allows the County Commission Board to hear everyone's opinion and make an informed decision. And I hope y'all take that to heart. At this time, I'd ask you to please rise with us. We will have our invocation followed by our prayer of allegiance. Lord, we just come at this time, Father, just thanking you for the good things, the good blessings you've sent our way. Father, we look to you especially today to give us even that good gift that comes from above, the wisdom to make decisions here. Lord, to our open ears and receptive hearts to the words that will be spoken here this day. And Father, and above all, to be able to make the decision that would be becoming not only to your name, but to the citizens of Meriwether County. Lord, as always, we ask you in advance to forgive us where we fail you. In Christ Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. It's a time when we want to adopt our agenda, and I would like to ask in advance that we eliminate item 4, municipal comments. We eliminate item 5, constitutional officer comments, and item 6, department head comments. Do I hear a motion to adopt this with those modifications? Is there a second? All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. So, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes that's been before you. The minutes from the work session as well as the minutes from our regular meeting, March 27th. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. That moves us to, for what most people are here for the public hearing that we're about to have. And I ask for a motion that we go into public hearing. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? We're open to public hearing. At this time, Mr. Ron Garrett.
Commissioner Chair, I'd like to make one statement before we get started. Can everybody hear me? How about that? Okay. I passed out some copies of the procedures for zoning public hearing, and I'm having some more made, so I just want everybody to know that we're going to give a copy to each and every one of you. And these procedures will state specifically how we conduct our public hearing for zoning. It's going to be Chapter 16, administration's chapter of the zoning ordinance, and the particular section I want people to focus on is section 16. You get it right there in front of you. Okay, that starts on page 1136. So
Ron, I'd just like to add that it's no different from the way we normally do business. This is very routine, folks.
That's right. So if you look at page 1136, you will see exactly what the procedures are for conducting a zoning public hearing. And as soon as I get these other copies in, we'll pass those out to everybody that did not get one. Okay, as the Chair, Commissioner McCoy said, we are here for a public hearing for a zoning request, a zoning issue. This is a request that comes to develop, to change our zoning public amendment. The process starts, let me preface that with this. In the past year and a half, I've had two developers call me about siting a rock quarry in Meriwether County. The first developer called, I told them that our ordinance does not allow that, and I didn't hear anything else out of them. The second developer called, I told him the same thing, our ordinance does not allow that. And then I was asked, well, how do I go about changing that? So that's and I told him what the process is. You have to submit a request to me to make an amendment to the zoning ordinance to a rock quarry in an industrial zoning district as a special use. So the caller sent that request to me. So that started this whole process, and that's what this is all about. This is not a rezoning of property today. This is just a public hearing to decide whether or not we want to amend the zoning text. We had a county planning commission, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and this was before the planning commission. That's the protocol in our ordinance that it goes to the county planning commission first. They review it and they make a recommendation to the board of commissioners. And of course, the planning commission can only make recommendations. They can't decide one way or the other. There were about 20 people in attendance at that public hearing, and after hearing from the public, the planning commission voted. The planning commission voted to recommend that the amendment to the zone text be denied. So that's where we are now, and that recommendation from the planning commission has to come to the board of commissioners to make the final say-so, make the final decision. So that's where we are now, and even if this amendment is approved, that does not rezone any property. There's still another whole process has to go through in order to do that. At least 2 more public hearings, and then I would require, if a rezoning came about, I would require a lot more detailed information studies, such as traffic studies, property value impact studies, engineering studies, geological studies, environmental impact studies. All those would be required if we go forward with a rezoning. But I just want to be clear that this morning is not a rezoning. That's all. That's basically why we're here. Okay, the administration section of the zoning ordinance is being passed out now, so if everybody does not get a copy, let me know. We'll make some more.
Ron, was there anything else before the applicant comes up?
No, that's all. That's my board of commissioners.
Mr. Jerry Fitzgerald, would you come up, sir? If you would, go ahead and introduce yourself to this group.
Folks, my name is Jerry Fitzgerald. I live in Charlotte. I represent an investment company that invests in properties and develops properties in the Carolinas and Georgia. We are here in Meriwether County to propose a granite quarry. So, Honorable Commissioner, staff, constituents, thank you for participating in the process. What we want to do, our objective here is, to repeat Ron Garrett's statement, is ask commissioners to approve a quarry to be included in the required zoning classification. I'll repeat, this is not a request for a rezoning here. This presentation is an abbreviated version of our zoning presentation, and this is to state quarries are exceptional corporate citizens, and our quarry qualifies for this request. This presentation will have 17 handouts. I thought a number of times, should I make 17 pages for each honored commissioner? Thank you for your attention. And I thought, well, that's going to try to give you a drink of water with a fire hose. I just didn't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is hand out a couple of handouts and review them together, and that'll keep from putting over 100 pieces of paper there on your desk. So to begin, I'd like to state, why we're here in Meriwether County. And if you would, Bill, you're going to help. as we start off, this parcel is located on a granite vein. Granite right now is the highest demand mineral there is in the aggregate business. What brings us to Meriwether County is the fact that there's a rail that goes through it, a rail line. It's a CSX main line. Now, this is real important because this does not limit the quarry to a regional market. Many quarries, only 20% of the quarries that exist have a rail line that go through. The others are limited to their regional demand. So what that means is if the demand within 30 miles of a truck quarry has no rail service, if the economy falls, demand falls off, they close the quarry. When you have a rail that goes through, you can ship the quarry, you can ship the aggregate to the next county, you can ship it to the next state, you can ship it to the next country. So what that means is, regardless of what the economy does here domestically, there's always going to be a demand for that aggregate. As I mentioned, this is going to be about a 70-30 split. 70% of the production out of that quarry is going to go out of there on the rail. Only about 30% will be trucked out for the local consumption. The rail line is straight. What that means is it'll be very efficient to put a siding in. It won't be a spur. It'll be a siding where it'll be real easy to put rail cars in there and load it. This second one that I want to hand out, this one shows the location in the county and the distances around the quarry. So there's a 1 mile, 3 mile, and a 5 mile radius. This gives you an idea of exactly where the site is here in the county. My third handout shows that this complies with the Meriwether County Comprehensive Development Plan. And this falls, you see right there the notation that says Randall. It's right in that area. Now, this is on 760 acres, which provides ample buffering for a quarry and to be able to produce from adequate reserves. As this presentation moves along, you'll see that buffering is nice to have, but it's definitely not a requirement. There's ample workforce here in Meriwether County to employ at this quarry. This quarry is going to employ anywhere from 30 to 50 people. There'll be a need for equipment operators, welders, administrators, support people of all types. So it's going to be a good job producer. The site has been core drilled, samples analyzed, feasibility studies compiled, and the site is declared suitable for development from a quarry standpoint. Now, this process really began with an application to the Three Rivers Regional Report, Regional Commission. This is a report that's a project of this size is required to apply for a report that states this project complies with regional planning and governmental requirements. The mission statement of the Three Rivers Regional Commission is as follows. This is the Three Three Rivers Regional Commission, TRRC for short, is a regional planning organization created and managed under Georgia law by its member local governments. As a quasi-governmental agency, TRRC essentially develops, promotes, and provides comprehensive planning and development services and technical assistance that seek to make the local communities in its region better places to live and work. We filed our application. We invited Three Rivers members to submit comments in a 2-week period beginning March 14th to March 29th. We started it out about a month ago. Members in the Three Rivers Regional Commission include the counties and communities of 10 contiguous counties here in Meriwether: Butts, Carroll, Coweta, Heard, Lamar, Meriwether, Pike, Spalding, Troup, and Upson. It includes the appropriate government agencies, but not limited to the Georgia DOT and the Georgia Environmental Protection. Comment results at the expiration of the notice period include So we sent this out to 10 counties and all the governmental agencies and all the communities. So within the 2-week period, we heard back from the Georgia Department of Transportation. We would like to see the plans for road accessibilities for this project, and this is just a given. As Ron had mentioned, if we get through this stage of it, when the quarry operator makes an application to the state governing body, which governs all surface mines, it has to go through that. It's very, very highly regulated, very demanding on what the plans are to develop the quarry. It has to go through the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's got to go through the Corps of Engineers because this site has a water feature on it. So the site is big enough to be sure that the environment is protected and has quarry granite reserves that will be adequately produced. The Georgia Environmental Protection Division, their feedback was this project is considered to be consistent with those state or regional goals, policies, plans, fiscal resources, criteria for development of regional impacts that include federal, executive orders, acts, or rules, regulations with which this agency is concerned. Now, here's the Three Rivers Regional Commission report. Here it is. And if I'm not mistaken, commissioners got a copy of this. Ron, the staff got a copy of it. When we got this back, of the 9 counties that got it, 7 counties had no response, no feedback at all from the county. 1 county, Troop, responded by submitting the comment, no comment. Coweta, no comment from the county, but we did receive 3 comments from the town of Harrelson 2 days before the expiration date. 3 negative comments total only from the whole 10-county area, and they came from Harrelson. 2 comments are from the current town officials and 1 from a former town official, and they all state the project would have a negative effect on their community. And the input, they all say about the same thing. One says this will affect our city's traffic, roads, noise, vibrations from blasting, plus the environmental problems that are sure to follow. Another poster had said traffic impacts, road damages within the city limits due to heavy truck traffic, blasting, seismic, earth vibrations, and house damage. Excessive noise to be heard for miles. Environmental impact to make environmental pollution. Last one, seismic blasting vibrations will cause damage to the stability of the roads, damages to houses, increased traffic. The last thing, Harrelson is working towards being a renewed city where people want to go, and this quarry will detract from that because of the above issues. So what we did, gee whiz, and I had gotten feedback from the constituents here. Man, people just they don't want this quarry. So what we did, we decided to take a look around and see people that live close to quarries, see what they had to say. So we went on a search to find a quarry where people live around it, and we really didn't have to go very far for the first one. We went up here right to the other side of Coweta County to, there's a major subdivision up there north of Noonan, right on the county line, called Arbor Springs. Arbor Springs is right across the street from Vulcan Industries quarry. Now, the map you're looking at there, when you see all that red is property lines. The mapping system we have, I can do it one of 2 ways. I can make it go in and see exactly, or I can zoom it out. This would be like looking at this from an airplane of about 20,000. Now, what I want to point out here is the Vulcan quarry is right in the middle of very high-density development. When you go east of the Vulcan quarry toward Fayette County, here's a Martin Marietta quarry. When you go northeast, there's a Hanson quarry. You can see that Arbor Springs and the Coweta Club is dead across the street from the Vulcan quarry, dead across the street. The Canongate Golf Course is just within you'll see the green circle there is a 2-mile radius from the Vulcan quarry, and the 1-mile radius is the red circle, and you can see what it is. So I decided to get on the phone and get an idea of how folks live up there. So I just get on the Arbor Springs website. I mean, this thing looks like Vulcan City. I get on the Arbor Springs website. It's a very impressive website, and I talk with I got to have more time, Commissioner. I'm just a third through this thing. Say again. I called the lady that heads up the HOA. I said, do you have a problem up there living around the quarry? This lady's name was Barbara. She said, absolutely not. There's 425 houses in the Arbor Springs community. I've lived here for 18 years. I've just retired and we're staying. I said, well, what about distractions of the quarry? She said, the quarry is no distraction. She said, there are 425 houses here. We've got 10 that are in the pipeline being built, and there is a over 55 community being built up there that that will have 50 units in it. She says, as far as we're concerned, there is. I said, what about people that want to buy or sell houses? She said, it's not a problem. She said they buy and sell in here all the time. So what I've got is a sheet there. We did some research on the sales in Arbor Springs. They're all over the place there, but what I did, I made notation of two. One that's 0.6 of a mile away, one that's 0.4 of a mile away. The one that's 0.6 of a mile away sold for $750,000. The one that's 0.4 of a mile away sold for $800,000. And my point is, if there was a problem living around the quarry, if there was a problem reselling your house, it would show up there. I made one more call to the guy that runs the golf course up there. And I got all these names, I got all these numbers, I'm not pulling this out of a hat. So I asked him, I said, what is your experience in working around the quarry? He said, just absolutely no problem at all. He said, the biggest problem I have is the guy going by in the train who thinks it's real entertaining to blow that whistle when somebody's teeing up for a shot. And he said, it's the same thing people driving around with a car. He said, people will go by and it's real entertaining to blow the horn while a guy's lining up on a shot. I said, I thank him for his time. I thought, we're starting to get an idea here that the quarries doesn't have much of an effect on Arbor Springs. But I thought, well, maybe it's a fluke. Let's look around. Let's look for a quarry that's next to a place where the blasting would be real sensitive, like an airport that has an instrument landing system. There's a real complex system that guides the planes. When the guy's coming in for landing and he can't see the ground, he's got to have left, right, and up, down guidance. And there's a thing called the Instrument Landing System, the ILS. So we decided to go see how we could find a quarry next to an airport. Again, we didn't have to go very far. We go up to Cobb County Airport, and here's a Vulcan Materials quarry right adjacent to the Cobb County Airport. And so I looked at this and I said, how can this be? I said, look at all the houses, okay, to the north of it. Look at the hangars right here. Look at the development around there. And I said, how in the world could they keep the ILS running at an airport that's right next to a quarry? Called the manager up. Got on the website. The guy's name is Carl Van Hagel. I got his number. And so I said, Carl, my name's Jerry. I'm doing a project in Meriwether County. I want to know what your experience is living around the airport. What is your experience with noise, blasting, dust? How do you keep the ILS system in calibration? He says, Jerry, I've been here 25 years. I have never, ever had a problem. I said, what about those Learjets that are ingesting that rock dust? I said, they got to be blowing engines all the time. He said, it's not a problem, Jerry. He said, the people that live that are there, they are absolutely a terrific neighbor. And he said, there's articles all the time about what they do. So I'm going to pass this out in the respective time. You can see here, you can read that one-page thing, and it says how important the Vulcan Quarry is in the Kennesaw community. Each year, Vulcan hosts 7,000 elementary kids at that quarry for a tour of their museum and what they do. The very last sentence on that thing right there says, mining used to be an out-of-sight, out-of-mind industry, but no more, because we are a very visible part of the Kennesaw community. This one, and I'm not pitching Vulcan. There are 5 runners that are interested in this. Okay, but what I did, I got on the Vulcan website. Everything I'm sharing with you is available right on the web. Vulcan's mission is, the mission statement of Vulcan's material, and I'm using this. This is the mantra of the industry. It states that Vulcan will be good corporate citizen in each community in which we operate. Vulcan's vision is helping build stronger communities. The back page of that shows Vulcan's presence in the United States, and there's no way you could establish a presence like this if you were a bad corporate neighbor. No way. Continuing on, we decided to look one more time. I'm really cutting this short. Let's look one more time for something where it would be real sensitive. So we just went eastbound, come upon another quarry, Martin Marietta Quarry in Fulton County, Georgia. It's almost adjacent to Hartsfield. Then, when you look south of Hartsfield, next door to Hartsfield is another quarry with the Stevens Industry. Then south of that is the Vulcan Quarry. It's all right there. So I get on the Hartsfield website. I look to see who I can talk to. They have 25 operations you can call and say, and get any information. There's an environmental office. I called this guy. He was the head of the environmental office for Hartsfield International. This guy's name is Brian Badger. I said, Brian, I told him who I was. I said, Jerry, I'm working on a quarry project. Folks are concerned about what it's like living next to a quarry. I said, how do you get along there? I said, you got 10 ILS systems. There's 5 parallel runways. Each one of them's got an ILS. I said, how do you keep all those things working? He says, never a problem. He said, we have more of a problem with the electronics than the disturbance from the blast. I said, what about the noise? He said, planes make more noise than the quarries. We never hear them. I said, what about the dust? I said, the airport up there is Georgia's largest employer. There's got to be people breathing dust, getting sick, engines ingesting dust, blowing them up. I said, it's never a problem, Jerry. He said, to take it one step farther, he said, the people that are right next to it, the Stevens Industry Quarry, we are doing a land swap with them where we're actually going to move. We need a piece of land they have. We have a piece that they want. We're doing a land swap, and it's actually going to bring the quarry closer to the airport. I got it right there. Now, after I looked at these 3 quarries with all this density, the red is the density. I'm thinking, if a quarry can operate and prosper with all that development around it, in Alberton, where the density is lower, there's not nearly as many people live around there. If it works good here, it's got to work there. So I got to thinking, there's something more about what we're doing here. So this map you're getting ready to see here now, I thought, on that 3 Rivers report, there were 7 counties that didn't weigh in. Nobody said anything. Coweta didn't say anything on a county basis. Troop said, no comment. So I got to looking. Well, gee whiz. These counties in the 3-county commission, 7 of the 10 are operating quarries. They got their own quarry. So they're not going to offer any negative comment because that'd be as hypocritical as you can imagine. They got successful quarries operating in everything but Meriwether, Pike, and Upson. There it is. Then I thought, I got to thinking about that Troop comment, no comment. To me, I read that as, don't look very deep. So I started to look, and I'm starting here. Here's what I'll show you now. These are the quarries in 3 states. Take a look at this, and the operators are right down the side here. Meriwether County, the quarry operations are being are going around Meriwether County. It looks like a donut hole in the development. Now, I began to look at numbers. I thought, these 10 counties, let's just see how they all stack up. Now, I'm giving you a whole, that looks like a bunch of numbers. Right? Here is the 3 Rivers Commission. I'm going to give you this one. This is what drives them home. The population change of those 10 counties, Coweta County gained a population of 12.4%. Meriwether County dropped. Coweta's 12.4%. Meriwether dropped 4.3%. Here is the Meriwether County budget. I don't see how y'all do it. I think you need medals from the state. You're making this county, keeping it afloat at $13 million. I think it's just unbelievable. Coweta is $71 million. Here's the one. I'm going to honor your request. Like I say, what's this going to do for Meriwether County? It's going to bring taxes based on taxes of quarries similar size to the one we proposed in Alberton. Here are the taxes, and I didn't work all these numbers up and pull them out of a hat. This is all public information, and you can see what these are bringing. The numbers these are bringing into county coffers. I'm going to close here. I got 12 seconds. This is a quarry that can bring prosperity, money, corporate involvement, and the neat part about it, Meriwether County doesn't have to spend a penny. You don't have to go up there and put in water lines, sewer lines, nothing. I'm done. Thank you, honorable commissioners.
I think that was a good suggestion that was just made to me. I know most here are anti anybody want to speak for whose name is on this list. Anybody that wants to speak for the quarry, please come forward. Thomas, are you already on the list? Come forward. Please state name and address.
Thomas Winkles, 3945 St. Mark's Road, Hoganton, Georgia. My parents live about less than 2 miles from this. I think it's the walking quarry that he was referring to. It's one below Tyrone up there. They started that quarry when I was about 12, 13 years old. They've been digging rock out of there for over 70 years. I had a brother that worked there, and then another brother that lived in the area there. And I could find, I talked to them this week, they didn't have any negative comments about the quarry, either working there or any well problems, shaking problems, any kind of a problem. Now, we need all of the industry here in Meriwether County that we can get. We need industry that you can't export to China or whatever. I don't believe in export of rock quarry to China. And on the tax end of it, in Louisiana, I moved up back up here 9 years ago from Louisiana. I had almost the same tax assessments in Louisiana that I've got here in Meriwether County. I got a shock when I got my first tax bill here in Meriwether County. It was almost 10 times what it was in Louisiana. The reason for it, I live between 2 refineries down there, some of the biggest refineries in the United States. There wasn't a we just enjoyed the benefits of them paying the taxes. In the 60s, I owned 40 acres of land in Cayuga County and a 3-bedroom home. I got a tax bill for $18.72 one year. I was talking with Tom Glannon, who was principal at Grantville up here, and he said the reason that the taxes were so low was due to plant Yates out there. They was picking up most of the tax burden for Cayuga County. Well, I'm going to tell you, I could buy a lot of stuff that would lower my taxes here in Meriwether County, and I'd a whole lot rather have a rock quarry across the road from me than to have a landfill. But I got no choice about the landfill now. So that's where I stand. I believe that if we're going to have growth in this county, we're going to have to get some industry in here. We're going to have to add it to our tax base so that the taxes is not resting entirely on the homeowners. I have a daughter and son-in-law that lives up in Cayuga County. When my son-in-law turned 65, it gave them the school tax up there. We can't do that here. Thank you very much.
Hey there. My name is McKay Drake, landowner here in Meriwether. Love Meriwether. How long do I have? Okay, you got it. All right. I'm going to start off with a quote. It's not about the past. It's not about the future. It's about right now. And we need to make today last forever. So why I said that is, one, I'm going to tell you why I said that, but two, whoever can tell me who said that quote, I'm going to buy you lunch at Bonnie and Paul's place at County Line Cafe. If you can tell me. But what I mean by that is I'm not here saying we should do a quarry and approve a quarry. It's all about we have the ability to basically decide in the future whether we want to let somebody do industrial development here. The fact that we're probably the only MSA, Atlanta MSA, without even the language in the ordinance to even consider potential industrial development is crazy to me. And I think Theron, I've met with Theron Gay in regards to his thoughts on development. I love how Meriwether can grow the way it wants to grow, set aside green space, set aside land. But at the end of the day, we need this money. It needs better. I've been wondering why the schools aren't better. Well, now I know we have an ordinance with no language in there to even consider future industrial development. And all I want is the ability to hear proposals in the future of somebody that wants to do industrial development. At that time, we can decide, yes or no. We'll basically just have a field and putting a bat and ball out there, and we still have the ability to decide who plays on that field. We just want to have the ability to see the different proposals in the future. And that is oh, and another thing, to get a quarry like this approved, when it comes to that, ever how long that is in the future, they're going to have to go through EPD, Army Corps, DNR. They're going to make them buy mitigation bank credits, which will improve water quality throughout this whole watershed. To get a quarry like this approved, they have to go through so many hoops. They're going to get inspected. They're not going to mess up the water. And then on top of that, they're going to make them pay a lot of money to improve other areas in the form of what's called compensatory wetlands mitigation banks within that watershed. So that's pretty much it. I just want the ability in the future for this county to consider proposals. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Are there any others who wish to speak for?
Okay. I'm leaning forward. I'm not a.
Give us your name and address, please, sir.
My name's Dustin Bates. You want address? 312-3073 Highway 100, Greenville, Georgia. So, Dustin Bates. All right. Can you guys hear me in the back? All right. So, as I said before, honestly, I just found out about this from my wife last night. She said I needed to get up here. One perspective I have is I live next to a quarry, very close. I'm not going to say I live right next door, but I have experienced this before, and I know a lot of us haven't. And I know a lot of people are very apprehensive because I can feel it in the room. It's smart for everybody to be apprehensive about things they don't really know or have any experience with. Again, I'm not going to say everything is great and everything is bad about having something like this, but I can say one thing. I lived near that thing my entire young life before I joined the military. And then I moved back to where it was again. And honestly, I barely ever even realized it was there. And we had a very little buffer, literally a couple hundred yards between the actual quarry and the main 138 highway in Stockbridge, Georgia. So, like I say, you mentioned before, or one of the gentlemen mentioned it before, a lot of people that have lived close to these things don't even know they're there. So, if it was a giant eyesore, I can understand this is going to be a terrible thing. Anyway, what I do want to talk about is things I am concerned about, and that is the growth down here. We're relatively new to this area. Love it, very happy here, but I've got little kids. And one of the biggest things I've been concerned about is the school, because we came from decent school zones, and we just don't hear good things about school down here, and we are at a young age, and we are looking at that now. We also have began to build a business here ourselves. We want things to grow, and yes, it was also mentioned that tax burden that falls upon homeowners is tough to bear when it's only enough to just sustain, not really build things and make things better. And I feel like that's kind of what we've been doing here, is just hanging on to what we got. I want to see things get better and better, and I think this could be possibly one of those starts. I want to know how many jobs we're talking about. That's one of the biggest things. I have a job, but I want other people to have jobs, and I want some new people to come here and take on jobs, because that's tax money, you know? If it's 100 more people that are going to work, that's 100 more people sending some tax money back into this county and giving us the opportunity to make better roads, better schools. I mean, I want to see schools first. But like I said, I'm not going to say I'm 100% for it or against it, but I hope that we see some growth. This could be a spark for that.
Thank you. That was Mr. Bates, right? Thank you. Yes, we have Ms. Rosa. Are you speaking for?
Rosa Plant, and I am vice chair for the IDA board. First off, I want to apologize, but yesterday's activities basically precluded the board having the letter submitted to County Commission Board. But we recognize that the Meriwether County needs Meriwether County needs the tax base, and we would like to very much support industry for the county. We know that there is a real need for the increase in the tax base. We also recognize that this County Commission Board will have the final say, but we would encourage you to look at the job opportunities as well as the tax base that would increase for Meriwether County. I did give a little personal experience from my past, and actually having been down in the inside of a quarry when I worked in the congressional office back in the 80s and all. This is still a very active quarry down in Talbot County, and I can honestly say that my biggest fear going into the quarry was riding with someone that I had no control of. But with that being said, we are surrounded, all the counties around us are surrounded that have quarries and all, and to my knowledge, I'm not aware of the problems associated with it. The other thing, unfortunately, social media has blown up, and there's a lot of negative things that have been, and I would encourage this board as well as the citizens of Meriwether County to look at facts, not feelings, and look to see the opportunities that we can have in Meriwether County. But first and foremost, we've got to address planning and zoning. And I would remind this board, in the 80s, we had no planning and zoning when I was first on the Board of Commissioners. We actually did a land use plan at that time. And one of the fellow commissioners that I had at that time was, "You're not going to tell me what to do in my backyard." And my rebuttal to him then, and it stands today, how will you control? And my examples were landfills and not rock quarries, but landfills and firing ranges. And there again, you've got to address it. And land use has got to grow with your county, and you've got to look at all opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Last call. Yes. I didn't know we had that rule, but you... Okay, and Alphonse, do permit him to come back in if you would. I've never had that request.
My name is Jane Fryer, and I represent the Meriwether County Industrial Development Authority. I just wanted to reiterate what Ms. Paul said. Our development authority has worked for many years to bring quality jobs and investment to Meriwether County. We look at each one that comes in. We have never recommended or worked on anything that we thought would be a detriment to the county. We look at all sides of it. And I just want to say that we would not be involved or support this if we didn't think it was a good investment for Meriwether County.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. Okay, I guess it's time. And who has the list? Mr. Bill, do you have the list of people that signed up? Let them come forward to sign cards, and then they'll come back. I would just like to commend you on your behavior. Y'all have been exceptional today, and I appreciate that. The first one I see on here is Jeremy Coleman. Mr. Jeremy. Go ahead, sir.
Here.
Okay, regrets, Mr. Jeremy Coleman.
My name is Jeremy Coleman. I live at 1100 Griffin Highway, Gay, which is in the heart of Alberton. First, I want to thank God for our country. I want to thank God for our counties. And my wife and I, we joined this thing on 2,000 feet of our property. So we believe in being a good steward of everything we have. I think God has developed this country for us being good stewards and looking at all aspects. And Ms. Rose said facts. Facts is what we should look at. It's not emotion. It's, we all have to have money. So, in our older age, my wife and I, how do we get our money? It takes money to survive. We have 6 children. We live right here. So my first thoughts were, I've got a little bit of knowledge with quarries. My friend worked at Martin Marietta in Talbot County down at the Junction City plant for 10 years. So I've taken tours of that plant. They put me in a truck with a hard hat and rode me around. And you'll see it on the left on Highway 90. It looks like a mini Grand Canyon. They blast during the days, and then he worked night shift. So for a few years, he worked at night. They run the crushers. They run the big truck equipment with the loaders, the backup beepers. So my first concern with my wife and 6 children, are we going to be able to sleep at night? You know, if this was in your backyard like it's in my backyard, we have to look at the facts. And I tried to not be emotional, but look at how this can help, how it can hurt. So we first were concerned about the noise when I heard about this thing. But then I talked to one of my neighboring church men. He lives by the one in Rover in Williamson. He said when they put it in, he had 25-pound rocks that came up his yard, and he's a mile away. They fixed that problem, but he was on the news, P.J. Calhoun. He called and told me. He said that's the way it went. And they fixed some of those problems, but they blast these rocks. So my wife with 6 children got concerned, so she starts getting facts. So we start researching. She said, honey, we can't live here with this silicon dust. I said, why not? She said, here. So what I did, she went to research it. This is the National Institute of Health. You get it on the internet. It talks about particulate matter, or PM, pollutes the air and creates grave health risk, especially in children. This is called crystalline silica dust. Numerous studies have linked elevated PM in the air to increased hospital admissions, emergency room visits, and premature death. Children are much more susceptible to these particles because of their lungs, respiratory systems, and still developing. Rock extraction and truck transportation of rock material make quarry operations both a sanitary and mobile source of this particular matter. A study was done, found in high concentrates of PM 2.5 and PM in a quarry's neighboring surroundings. These are high levels of PM 2.5 and PM 10 was found in a study done in Wales, UK. Symptoms that nearly doubled in communities with rock quarries versus communities with no rock quarries. Headache, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, discomfort, wheezing, coughing, nasal congestion, sinusitis, bronchitis.
Jeremy must bring it to a close.
Was that 3 minutes? That was 3 minutes. Wow. So our with children with this silicon dust, I know that we need money, but not to the risk of our community's health.
The disease is called silicosis. Gene King, you're next up.
Gene King, 2433 Sullivan Mill Road. I'll try to talk fast to cover some things. We pulled this up 2006, 2008. Some of you commissioners wasn't on the board, but this county spent over $500,000 to do a comprehensive planning for the future of Meriwether County. This is straight out of your Article 2, Purpose 2.1. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish minimum standards for the use of land and improvements in unincorporated Meriwether County, Georgia. The zoning regulations and districts herein established are designed to lessen congestion in the streets, provide safety from fire, panic, and other dangers, promote health and general welfare, provide adequate light and air, avoid undue concentration of the population, provision of transportation, water, sewage, schools, parks, and other public requirements, conserve the value of economy, encourage the most appropriate land and structures, promote quality of life. Repeat, promote quality of life for all citizens, and provide consistency with the land use element of the comprehensive plan. That being said, I'm sure everybody agrees with me. I don't see how anybody on this board, if we spent $500,000 to come to that conclusion, would today vote an amendment to change it to allow quarries. As I said, water. Meriwether County does not have county water. So if they do have well contamination or wells go dry, which we are going to guarantee the citizens of this county that you're going to get water to their home. And at this point, we can't do that. Water is life. So I think, and then the one gentleman said we need to have industrial. We already have industrial. We're open to take any industry. We're here today because no one here wants a rock quarry in our backyard. And as Mr. Fitzgerald mentioned, all these counties did not respond. That's because they don't care what we do in Meriwether County. Just like we don't care what they have in their county. This is our county here, and we're here today to ask you not to change the amendment. The biggest problem with changing the amendment, and I think you all know that, right now we do not allow rock quarries or quarries in Meriwether County. So no one can apply for one. And they can't force a lawsuit or scare y'all or threaten this or threaten that. As soon as you change this amendment, they're allowed to come in and apply. And everybody keeps saying, oh, this isn't going to rezone today. This is just to open the door. That's right. You vote today to open the door. Y'all personally put your names on sending that train down the track, and you will not be able to stop it, because that's when they come in and file lawsuits, because your ordinance says you allow quarries. We are the third largest county in the state of Georgia, acreage-wise, not population-wise. You open the door for this one, then y'all go ahead and open the door for several more to come, and this is not what we need in Meriwether County.
Chairman, I speak for a group, Flint River Keeper, but I will not require 15 minutes. You could set it at about 7.5 or 8. People probably be tired of listening to me by then. Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I appreciate the fact that y'all are doing this, even though it's required by law. The way that you're doing it is most exemplary, as is this crowd, and I appreciate what you're doing. And Madam Counsel, thank you for being here and giving advice, as I know you have. And Mr. Garrett, thank you for the help the other day to help me understand exactly what was going on and achieve some clarity. Flint River Keeper is headquartered in Albany, Georgia at 211 North Jefferson Street. We're getting ready to move to 102 Pine in Albany. I live at 3034 Poplar Trace North off of Pobitty Road in Talbot County. The last thing that y'all need is somebody from out of the county telling you how to do your job. And so I'm not here to do that. I'm simply here to provide some information that could possibly help you make your decision. We are opposed to it, but we don't have a voice. Flint River Keeper does not pay taxes in this county. However, we do have over 40 members in this county, which represents a little over 100 people. And I'm personally authorized to speak for Mr. Roger Lumsden today, who is a member of Flint River Keeper and a major landowner that could not be here. He is also opposed to this code change. Our board also includes people that live here, including our board president, Mr. Cliff Elliott, and board member Janet Morgan Maple, who I believe is in the room. Also, a former board member of ours, God rest his soul, Mr. Tyron Elliott, resided here for many, many years. The character of Meriwether County is somewhat unique in the Flint watershed, and part of the reason for that is location, location, location. You're not in Southwest Metro proper. I think many people are grateful for that, but of course you're subject to the developmental pressures and the developmental advantages that come from being near Southwest Metro. Property valuations in this county are based on a quality of life that's preserved by your present zoning, which does include industrial, as Mr. King pointed out, but does not include this particular form of industry. Property valuations in densely populated areas are driven more by demand for housing than they are for quality of life in large acreages. These are difficult calculations to make from an appraisal basis and from a county management basis, but they're real nevertheless. When you begin to develop a county, as y'all have all learned in the training you got at the Vinson Institute, you have to have a really good balance between residential and industrial in order to keep the tax base from getting out of whack. And those are difficult decisions. So there's an economic tension that's immediately set up between land valuations of the various types of zoning and jobs and the quality of life and how that relates to economic values. The role of government, therefore, is difficult, and I applaud you for sitting and deliberating and thinking, including the behind-the-scenes work that you do, and the phone calls and emails that you take all weekend and the last few days. The Planning Commission has voted to not do this. I think we will see when this morning and day is over that this crowd is overwhelmingly opposed to it. And that's part of your calculus, is to understand what the citizens want. And Ms. Bray and Ms. Hines, I appreciate y'all holding a town hall meeting the other night, and I'm sorry I could not attend to get the temper of the citizens. A couple of things have been said here that I take exception to. One is that our state and federal agencies are completely capable of protecting the environment. My experience with that in state government as a regulator, in private industry, in the waste and portable toilet business for 10 years, and as a river keeper for the last 14 years, is that the protections are inadequate at the state and federal level, and it's up to local government to provide the final protection against those sorts of things. The primary problem with rock quarries is the changes in hydrology that they produce. Some of them don't produce any. Some of them produce profound changes in terms of dewatering a creek or nearby wells. It's almost impossible in crystalline rock geology to predict what's going to happen in advance. And you can't take that lack of predictive ability to be a green light going forward. Also, mitigation measures with deep respect for what Mr. Drake had to say, are not always adequate for replacing the hydrology, the lost flow. And that is the primary problem in the upper Flint, is lost flow. 70% reduction in low flows since 1975, primarily due to development. The counties north of us are now making investments in restoring that flow. In Fayette County, Griffin and Spalding, Clayton County, millions and millions of dollars that are being invested in restoring that flow to correct the mistakes of the past. And rock quarries are part of that problem, as well as withdrawals and lack of return. So I would beseech you, based purely on water issues, to not change the code. And I hope and pray that you'll be able to sleep well this evening when you've made your decisions, because they're difficult ones. Whatever you do, somebody is not going to be happy. But I submit to you that the balance between good economics and bad economics, property values, jobs, and property rights is a difficult one. And I pray that you navigate it well and that you listen to the public. Again, thank you for your time, and thank you, sir, for keeping time for me. And I turn my 30 seconds back over to the process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. My, what caused that? But let's go on for just a little here. Mr. David Macaluso.
Hello, Commissioner, and ladies and gentlemen. So, my name is David Macaluso. Moved here after I spent quite a few years. So, 7,000 feet north of the impact zone of the, so just north of Alberton. After serving in the military, 1985. After having served in the military, we moved back here. I currently still fighter and serve in the U.S. government, so we're going to talk about airport analysis. But first, I give you a this in fact. Mr. Controller, what he actually omitted from the two rooms report, it's very important. And I'm trying to bring out a sequence of time constraints. Quite important, the was reviewed Sorry about that. After reviewing the information, the Three Rivers Regional Commission staff notes that the proposed development site lies within the conservation area of the Regional Development Plan map, Three Rivers Regional Plan. The proposed site also lies within the conservation area of the areas required special attention map in the regional plan. I'm going to skip down to the bottom. This area is recommended to in order to protect the important resources of the environmentally sensitive area for this. Because I have to tell you guys about that. I'm going to address the DNR and the EPA. I spoke to Jeannie Steele. That's a matter of my phone record, and you can talk to her about that box that she conveniently checked. The DNR did not respond to her correct request for comment on this. And I said, why did you check the development description, which was in the request from ERI, stated within the control of all local, regional, and Corps of Engineers? And I said, that was it? Did you look at a site survey, a satellite photo? She goes, no. And you know, I had to talk to Jeannie Steele about this. I said, you know, there's waterways, estuaries, and what? She goes, oh, really? And I had her pull that up. So she checked that as a control because she did not hear from the DNR. That's very, very important information as far as the Three Rivers report is concerned. Now I'm going to address the investors. We don't know who these investors are. I'm proposing a question for a quorum. Arbor Springs, I spoke to the individual that works and runs the U-Haul facility outside of Arbor Springs that he said the trucks are scary, they move so fast. And then Arbor Springs is on the other side of the highway. I'm going to let you know to go no for this. Please address the amendments in there and what they state in this document.
Thank you, David. It took Stratton Macaluso.
Let's see. Is that too close? Okay. I'm Scott Macaluso. Address is 27293, about a mile and a half north of the area. I've lived there for 47 years. Plan on spending the rest of my life there. And it's one reason only, because I love it. Probably not much unlike anybody else in this room. Now, this petition was handed to me by someone. Was handed to me, and it's an extensive petition with a lot of comments in it. Actually, Miss Beverly gave it to me, and somebody else gave it to her to give to me. Anyway, I'm not one of those citizens that's against change. Whether I like it or not, I know it's going to happen. But there's a difference between good change and bad change. There is nothing redeemingly valuable about a rock quarry. These are destructive industries. They're kind of like locusts. They come in, they destroy the land, they take every part of the resource they can, and when there's nothing left, they move on, and they leave a big mess. Now, I'm also not going to be one of those people saying, not in my backyard, even though it is in my backyard. I don't want it near my backyard in Meriwether County. We have to have productive change, not destructive change. Now, I implore you all to make a unanimous decision here, without hesitation, without reservation. All five of us have to vote no for the First Amendment. We all know where Mr. Fitzgerald's talking about. This isn't just somewhere in Meriwether County, although it could be everywhere in Meriwether County. We have no idea where rock is, but I'll tell you what, they're going to go where it is if this Pandora's box is opened to begin with. And this text amendment is the beginning of Pandora's box. We don't want to be known as a county that's full of landfills and rock. Doesn't sound real inviting to me. Hey, y'all, come on down. We got big piles of trash. Big John Hole. Let's go with the correct change. Control change. Please, without reservation or hesitation, let's have 5 no votes for this text amendment. That would be following your citizens, your constituency, would even be following your zoning board. Mr. Fitzgerald's argument, 30 to 50 jobs? Are we talking 30 whole jobs? Boy, it really sounds like it's going to improve our county. Thank you so much.
Other side, okay? Don't be naming names. No, you do not. Okay, at this time, Lita, come on forward.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, this is not our first rodeo here in Marion County for this type of industry. This is not our first rodeo. In fact, at least one of the persons on this board, I remember being on this side of the desk. One mentioned impact studies, and I want to know if any of you have read any impact studies from any other state in Marion County on what core? Can you, yes, no, maybe? No? Okay. Impact studies are easy to find. All you have to do is go to Google and pull up impact studies. I like them. And just so you know, and this is pretty much the impact studies for what it is. 20% reduction in health and mind, which is the capital areas. 20% reduction in health and mind, which is the reduction in the mind. 8.9% reduction in fertility, and 3.9% reduction in females. The left side value occurs with a population of 40%. Okay, look at impact studies. They find impact studies that really prevent people from moving forward and zoning approval. We don't want to get that done, right? We don't want to get to the point where bargaining or buying our property values away on the beauty industry, right? That's not what Marion County is supposed to be doing here, am I correct? Okay. And just so you know, I'd like to, if I may, address Mr. Fitzgerald directly. I'm not allowed to do that because I'm not allowed to go and then you can do anything too. Okay. Okay. We don't care about the congruence of this regulation or the regulatory process or who has to get there in this area. We're the people and not the building that we want to happen in all property areas. You can put that on the report. I want to remind us all who you are here to represent today. You're here to represent the people. And the people are the clear what they property. Okay, you see my clear. I want to remind you who you're here to represent today. You're representing the people of the county. And we're not prepared to stand by idly and let this type of industry come in and destroy our property values. Now, Mr. commenter earlier said that we need to see the county fair and that's really good. But we're not ready to go to this point. Our property values or the fact that we're not getting any services out of this deal.
Thank you, Ms. Slater. Okay, Mr. Don Oden, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you this morning. My name is Don Olden. I live at 253 Beaver Chase Lane, Gay, Georgia, just outside the city limits of Alberton on the south side. And I have a question, and the question is that initially, some time ago, the Board of Commissioners had made an ordinance, and that ordinance was that there would be wording that there would be no rock quarries allowed in Meriwether County. I don't know what has changed since that original ordinance was worded. And also, there was a recent ordinance that was against the use of jake brakes in the county of Meriwether approaching certain communities. There's one south of Alberton.
Sir, please, issue.
I am. I'm coming back to that, Mr. Chairman. That jake noise ordinance was for the purpose of reducing annoying noise. Jake brakes make a considerable amount of noise when they downshift. Now, if that's the case, I would like for you to compare that to the noise that is going to be emitted from that rock quarry. I've had a little bit of background in the sense that before I retired, I was a certified safety professional. So I visited various industries. And in doing so, I've been around rock quarries. I've been around sand quarries also, where they use hydraulics to flush out the sand from the rock. There's a lot of noise that is going to be created by a rock quarry. They have huge haul trucks within the quarry, and they use those trucks for transportation within the quarry on that property, so that they are sent into crushers, which make another huge amount of noise. Then the aggregate goes to separators, which size them. Actually, they call sizers. And then that makes a huge amount of noise. Not to mention the truck traffic that is going to be on the highways. Not to mention spilled gravel, overflow, whatever the case may be. Those are going to create problems for transportation in and around this community. And so I would ask you, please, give serious consideration to what you're about to do to vote on this matter, and leave it as it is, and deny that request for an amendment wording change to the text. And I thank you again very much.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. The next speaker is Joey Perry, I believe is correct.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Joey. We are new residents, soon-to-be residents. We're right in the middle of building a house at 1501 Manson Road, which is a crow flies. It's probably 1.5 miles through the woods from this quarry. And we are, like I said, we're dead in the middle of building a house. So we weren't planning on this when we started construction, I can assure you. I don't know that I'm for or against it. I'll just be honest, because I don't know the facts. I'll tell you, in 2004, I went through the same process in Coweta County of amending an ordinance to allow a wood waste recycling center. Before they would even amend the text, we had to have all of the facts that I think we're yet to have. Once we went through months and months of research, and Mr. Theron was actually involved in that, we went through a lot of research. I had to provide all the facts that we're stating are going to come after you guys amend the text, if you decide to do that. We had to do that ahead of time. And I'll tell you why. Because we provided the facts, we made it work, we got the text amended. The day after the text was amended, the guy right across the street from me opened a wood waste recycling center. You know why? Because they opened the doors. Same example here. Is it a good fit for the county? I don't know. I don't have the research, and quite frankly, I haven't done it. What will it do for our taxes? Is it going to lower our property taxes as residents? Is it the right location to put it there? We're in the middle of the next comprehensive plan that I think is due at the end of April to the state. Why would we vote to change the text before we even know what the new comprehensive plan, land use plan, is going to be? Is this something that should wait until after that? And then we consider the text on our ordinances and where we allow the industry. Meriwether needs industry. I agree with that 100%. Does it need a rock quarry? I don't know the answer to that. My encouragement to you is see the comprehensive plan out, see the land use plan out, and then get all the answers to these questions like, when were these rock quarries that were referenced when they were first built? What was the immediate impact? Now that they're 40 years old, maybe all that has settled down. What kind of buffers are you going to require? What kind of green space are they going to be made to have around them? The list is long of questions and facts. You may already have them. I don't know if you do or don't. My encouragement to you is before you change the text, because when you change the text, the door's open. And at that point, as long as they meet the criteria, they can put a rock quarry anywhere they want to. Before you change that text, maybe we go through the land use plan, the new comprehensive plan, then get all the facts, and then decide if you want to allow rock quarry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Y'all, we're going to have just a 5-minute break before we proceed. If those of you need to go to the bathroom or where, Alphonse, I hate to put you on you, but just
My name is Laurie Steve. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Laurie Stevens. I live at 91 June Lane, and my property is in direct proximity to the parcel that is the subject of our discussion this morning. It's 150 feet from the front porch, and my south property touches directly that. So, and I understand this is just for a zoning, a consideration. But my biggest concern is that it is, like other residents, I also agree that changing the language would change the fabric of that area, that it would make it permissible, and that by making it permissible, it is opening the gateway to something. I guess my biggest concern is something unprepared. We know some facts, and I appreciate the effort that people have put into bring forward some of those facts on both sides. But the very real fact to me is the real fact of depressed property values. The people in our area are not the same as people. I think the comparison was to Arbor Springs. We're not the same as them. We're low density area. That is not an apples to apples comparison, in my opinion. And so, and I was at the meeting in Luthersville. I saw you yesterday. I appreciate you guys opening that. Thank you very much. I think what's important, the strength of our county is the traditions that we have. They were asking for strengths and weaknesses, Mr. Gay, you are, and you too. The strength is our tradition. The strength is that we are we have this beautiful property. It's God's country, and we appreciate that, and that is part of the value to us, to our property. And I'm a little nervous today. So, and I'm very passionate about this. And I think others, that what you're seeing in the crowd is how passionate we are about this matter. So I'm here to appeal to your wisdom. I'm here to appeal to your sensibility. And I would like you to, we're not against growing. We're not against development. What we're against is something that seems like more of a gamble than what we're owners are willing to risk in our property value. Don't put us at risk. I am on the front line, and I'm just asking for your wisdom, and I'm asking for your stewardship. So it's very much appreciated, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak here. And my request is no, please don't change the language to permit this. Thank you.
At this time, for recent times, when I saw you earlier, you were here. He's not who you are. Already heard.
Good morning to everyone. My name is Ronnie Hurd, and I represent Tracy Hurd, Christopher Hurd, and Matthew Hurd, and I'm sure they spoke to some of y'all. I live at 25073 Highway 85, Gay, Georgia, which would be right across the road from the proposed rock quarry. Some of these things that we've gone over, but I'm going to run through them real quick. First of all, I call Alberton my home for over 31 years. Lived in Woodbury before that, some time in service. So Alberton has become our little piece of heaven. So I want to keep it that way, if at all possible. Not against change. I just want change that brings good things to the county, something that will benefit the county, not a rock quarry. But anyway, some of the negatives is the blasting, the noise from the blasting, the dynamiting, the noise from the vibration from dynamiting, drilling and excavating, noise from drilling and excavating. House foundations will be cracked if you live nearby. Wells, both bored and drilled, could be contaminated or drained dry. Our local roads will have the additional wear and tear due to large trucks. And I'm telling you all this because I just didn't reach in a hat and get this. I did talk to a lot of people that live in and around these areas, and they all had something negative to say. Additional traffic on our roads, increasing the chance of accidents with our elderly and young drivers. Large trucks are way more dangerous on our rural county roads. I can't imagine my dad having to drive around this stuff. He was able to deal with it in Woodbury, and I know you all have elderly parents too. That won't happen with a bunch of gravel trucks and rock trucks. Noise from this will be 7 days a week. They're not making money if they're not drilling and dynamiting. House values will go down. No one wants to live near or around a rock quarry. We want people to come into the county. So if you put this in the county, or if it's allowed to come in, people coming out of Coweta to the northern end of Meriwether County, they're probably not going to want to settle there. Our Flint and White Oak Creek could possibly suffer due to the blasting in the immediate area of our waterways. This blasting could cause a crack in the water table or a vein and change the flow pattern. Why would we want to even risk that? Industry. I have heard that we need jobs in our county. Typically, this type of quarry has a staff of 10 to 15 people, and I know he said more than that, but I talked to two legal experts, and they said that's basically what it ends up being at the end of the day. Revenue, I've been told by two legal experts that even if they succeed in coming in here, they may never even set up shop, or it could take 10 years or more. I'll kind of knock it off here, but the rock quarry does. We had a gentleman at a town hall meeting that really displayed that really good. But I asked you to oppose changing the text. And I look up here and I saw the sign right behind you, all the beautiful pictures. That will go away if we change the text and open the door to this type of industry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Joe Ryan is next here. Thank you. We appreciate that, Joe. Mr. Fred Metros.
Fred Metros, 471 Garner Road, Gay, Georgia. You've heard a lot today, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. Most of it you have already heard one time or more again, and I can appreciate that, so I'm not going to waste your time with a lot of things that you've already heard. I will tell you that I moved from California to here 20 years ago, and I moved here because I had a friend that lived here, and he said he loved it. He loved it because he had quiet, you weren't interrupted by light pollution, smog, noise, destructive roads being damaged by heavy vehicles. I lived from the concrete society in Southern California to move here, and I loved it. And I'm going to tell you, people don't understand until they lose it, what they've lost. I don't have much more to say than that. I vote no, of course. But I do because I've been there. I've seen this. And when I was in the Army, I drove heavy equipment. I know what they do. They don't stop doing what they do. Make noise, vibration, and they tear things up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Fred. Appreciate your comments. I believe the next is Brian Eskew.
Brian Eskew, 4837 Alberton Road, half a mile from the impact site. Between my two jobs, I work about 60 to 80 hours a week. So on my day off, I went around door to door getting a petition signed. These are the people that were unable to make it. The vast majority, y'all can have that. You can keep the tablet to take more notes if you need to. I put your signatures. However, I spoke with a lot of these people that actually moved here to get away from quarries. They spoke of the damages to their homes. I went online and I found a bunch of news stories, and I took snippets from these stories speaking of the damages to their homes and the noise. One of them, are you in Miami or Syria? Explosion shakes homes, break windows, crack floors. Another one I found was U.S. Army veteran says the blast triggered come back to combat in Vietnam. I myself, being a veteran of Iraq, other gentlemen here, other people in here, being veterans of other conflicts, do not want to be set back to the hell they came from for this country. We moved here for peace and quiet. We want to keep peace and quiet.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. Again, I'm going to issue my statement. If you think your points have been adequately covered, there's nothing wrong with waiting your time. The next one on the list is Catherine Sim, I believe. Maybe I mispronounced, maybe this time.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I got up early this morning and brought my 4 children here, ages 5 and under. Daniel's going to stand beside me. I'm Catherine Thompson, 4529 Oakland Road, Georgia. That's off of 362, very close to this location, which we're in today. I want to speak as a resident, as a homeowner, as someone, as a homemaker, as someone who has children, and I'm raising children right down the road from where this is to be. I do not think it's advantageous for us as Meriwether County citizens. I believe this particular rock quarry may be a lucrative opportunity for very few people, but I believe it is very wrong for our county and for our citizens. It is a wrong to attempt to change the zoning somewhat quietly. I haven't heard much about it except through a few people. I've seen no signs about this meeting. I think it is morally wrong to willfully put air and water and land and noise for the financial benefit of only a few people. It is practically wrong for our county too. I have not heard evidence of it being advantageous for us. And I would like for you to consider voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Catherine, and I can assure you Meriwether County does nothing quietly. Mr. Joe Howard.
Good morning. My name is Joe Howard. I live at 1719 Moss Road, Alvaton, Georgia. My house, my residence, my wife's family's residence, all of my wife's family live 2 miles from the site I proposed. And just a couple things I want to mention. I work in Noonan, so I travel the opposite way. I walking most mornings. But my family travels, I guess that would be east, and turns on to 85 there in Alvaton. I've seen numerous wrecks in that area, and I know that the added traffic with trucks and stuff, that's a state highway coming off 362. It's a state highway, Georgia 85. But with just a caution light there, I know that the increased traffic, the increased truck traffic, the large trucks, the weight of the trucks, that type of stuff will increase. And I'm sure there's some DOT, studies or whatever to address that. But that's one of my biggest concerns, is the safety of my family traveling that road, as well as these people who live in Alvaton, and the visitors that we have into the county traveling Georgia 85. As I said, I travel toward Louisville to go to work, and most of you know that the county's turning into the new name of the county. We can't continue to allow big roads to travel our county roads when we can't keep up with the county roads as it is. Luthersville Road is horrible. Someone made the mention that these trucks will travel the highway. They'll travel the highway, but they'll travel our county roads to get to I-85. Okay, they're going to go through Luthersville. They're going to continue to tear up these roads. We can't keep up with the infrastructure we have now. They're not going to help us with that. They're going to only damage that even further. I have talked to two people who are really affected targeted by rock quarries in their area. I have a family member who owns a business right across the road from the one in Clayton County. Hasn't been very long ago, he and his employees had to get on top of the building to remove the rock that was blasted from the quarry that landed on top of their building. There's also some families over in the Griffin area, Spalding County area, that have damaged roofs to rooms, and it's my understanding from them, from the lawsuit, the quarry had to buy those homes or fix the ones that wanted to be fixed. I don't know if that in my area. I've been in Meriwether County for 41 years. First in Manchester area, so I know that end of the county, but I've lived in Alvaton for 23 years. I don't want to disrupt what I have there. I'm all for industry and I'm all for growth. Texas is high too, and I understand that. But we got to make it be the right growth, the growth that makes sense, not the growth that's going to damage us.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. You feel like somebody's already covered your points, and you don't want to come and speak, we'll apologize for that. Miss Nancy Lee is next here. Thank you. I appreciate that, Miss Nancy. I know who I'm talking about. Ognio. Ognio. Are you here?
My name is Roger Ogino, 1601 Apps Road. I'm in the trucking business. I have 40 big trucks, and the roads down here cannot handle the traffic. I know they say 25% is going to be trucking, 75% railroad. I would invite anybody to look at bulk and material over in Stockbridge. They're probably doing 20% railroad and 80% trucks. And look at the roads. Forest Park, over there, Vulcan Materials, look at the roads coming in and out of there. They're destroyed. Y'all can't even pave the roads we have now. And the big trucks, yeah, they'll run the highway some. Like I said, I'm a trucking owner. We're going to take the shortest route. I mean, so they'll be going down whatever road gets them to the job the quickest. The roads will be destroyed. The next thing is, why do we want to pass this before y'all get all the information that's needed to know exactly what they're going to do? If they say 75% railroad, if y'all do pass it, I hope you don't, y'all need to put it in there. It's got to be 75%, because we'll have to put red lights in the county. The trucks coming in and out will just create twice as much traffic. So the tax revenue that they say everybody's going to gain to make the schools better, y'all going to spend it on the roads and the infrastructure just to maintain. So that's all I had to say about that.
Roger. Long time seeing you, fella.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to see that you've grown up. That is, well, glad to see you all. Joseph Fagundes, the husband of Betty Fagundes. Everybody knows Betty. 26927 Highway 85. We're just up the road from this quarry. Just about everything has been said, technically, I think, by some of our speakers earlier. Mr. King was one. I had some notes about that, but he stole all my thunder. Mr. Rogers with River Keepers also has a tremendous amount of information, and it's advisory. You know, government agencies, I have found out through the years, do a reasonable job, but they're not the final say. For instance, I just got a little chart here, and I'm going to sit down. This chart is put out by a geophysical engineer about rock quarries. They did a study of what rock quarries do to property made by God. The ecosystems. What happens when they're through with that property? What do you do with it? There's nothing you can do with it. But anyway, this is some of the things quarrying does, and this was put out by the environmental impact of quarry stone by Karst. Okay, this is not made up. A quarry increases sediment discharge. Now we're talking about a granite quarry. There's two different kinds, limestone and granite. You all know that probably. Sedimentation of caves all adds up to ecosystem degradation. Wastewater discharge, water quality deterioration, rock mineral removal, landform destruction. That's talking about 30 seconds to go. Golly. All right? All that destroys the ecosystem for this county that we love. I worked with Tyron Elliott years and years ago because we almost got shot and thrown out of the county, setting up the restrictions for the county, which we now call zoning. And Tyron, bless his heart, we had a tough battle trying to get this passed. The wording in that was quickly done. What I'm talking about, thoughtfully done for the betterment of Meriwether County. And here we are, I guess what, 25 years later, 30 years, looking at those zoning ordinances and to change them because we specifically were afraid of rock quarries trying to get down here because we're right on the line for the granite. Okay, if you look at the map, anyway, I'm sure you've seen it. I'll quit. But I appreciate it.
Next on my list, Mary Lynn, did you have anything to add?
I'm Mary Lynn. I used to live at 1040 Alverton Road with my mom and dad, but they live there now, and I bought my own house. Well, last year I bought two, so I'm paying taxes for two houses here. My mom and dad got one. But anyway, I am not from Meriwether County, neither are they. We moved here to get away from the rock quarries, from all the noises and everything. 25 years ago, Mom? Yeah, 25 years ago. And Buster, you know that, you're a neighbor. But I used to work for Coasters. It's a family dining restaurant across from Stockbridge, the Broken Materials and Stockbridge on Rock Quarry Road. I also lived in that area. You do not want to do it. The roads are bad. I think the Lutherville Road's bad. It's bad to the Rock Quarry Road. That's how bad it is. It's really also bad. Your roads are going to be bad. Your water's going to be, you're going to lose it. I was there. I know. I lived across from the one in Stockbridge. I said the Stockbridge one, but the Forest Park one. My grandmother also lived over there. The airport, when the airport came in, they had to redo her house because it busted her windows and all that stuff. When the rock quarry came in, well, we just had to move out from over there also. You don't want it. I just say.
Thank you, Ms. Mary. Brenda Stevens, I believe, is my next.
I'm Brenda Stevens. I live at 7214 Mount Carmel, Georgia. Thank you. I have got a case of the shorts. I've been living on this piece of dirt for 52 years. It's nice, it's quiet, it's peaceful. I'd like to keep it that way. I would appreciate it if y'all would vote no, if for no other reason. A few years ago, I snuck into a rock quarry that is no longer being used, that has filled up with water, to go swimming. We were escorted off the property and informed the reason we could not sneak in there and go swimming was because the ground is unsettled and you can have cave-ins. So then they posted signs after they caught us in there swimming that this could happen. So it's in Tweeds County. My cousin lives about 2 miles from the place. So for that reason, I don't want my grandkids to grow up and do the silly things their grandmother has done in the past. I really don't, but I would not want anybody's child or an adult to think they can sneak in and go swimming and it's safe because they're no longer working there and really not know the casualties that could happen. So I would appreciate it if y'all would vote no to this quarry. Thank you.
Well, certainly thank you, Miss Brenda. As I look down here, and I may blow this name, is there a Dyster Bates? Am I mispronouncing that? Is there a Bates in the room that signed up here? Look at that, see what you see. Yes, sir, it is. Appreciate it. Kyle Knapp.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kyle Knapp, 8492 Rocky Mountain Road. I don't presently live in Meriwether County. I live in Fayette County. I was born and raised in Fayette County. As a child, I used to load up, the station wagon and travel the roads of Meriwether County and see the sights, as vacation time on the weekends. But, as I got older, and it's ironic that I own a tile and stone installation company. I bought land on Rocky Mountain Road, and that's where I plan to retire and rest my head and live the last and the end of my days. And a lot of my friends that live in Fayette County that are witnessing all of this want somewhere to go, and that's what attracted a lot of us to the county is the simplicity of the county. The development is good, but too much of anything is a bad thing, and things can grow in its own time. And, it's ironic that we hear things about Arbor Springs. Now, like I said, I own a tile and stone installation company. A lot of subdivisions that are developed in a matter of 12 months. Arbor Springs has been going on for almost 20 years. Most of the people that live there don't live there. They buy a house there and they live somewhere else because the houses are in the neighborhood of 700 to 2 to 3 million. Those people couldn't afford to do that. They come in, fly in, play golf, stay a little while, gone. But, that's what I loved about this county and why I want to be here and why I want to die here and rest my head here is because of just the simplicity and the wildlife and the keeping it simple, And a lot of people talk about, the education and education is good, and I'm all for education. But I own a company with a real estate company. I employ many people. I own 16 properties. I own land, and I did it off of a cheap, regular high school, paid basic public school education. There's other ways that we can develop our community, and I don't think it has to be at the detriment of everybody that lives here. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kyle. Mr. Raven Bettis. Come forward.
My first recommendation would be, Welton Bettis, 4678 Mount Carmel Road. I own a half mile of land under the Flint River. I'm in general proximity, and certainly I think this is a bad site for water quality. To this meeting, I would suggest next time a larger space, and certainly think it should be done in the evenings and with the correct advertisement. The date I saw in the paper was for yesterday.
Let me help you with that, Mr. Weldon. This is the space that we have, is located right here. And we mix up in dates that might have occurred. But this is our normal meeting time. We have 2 meetings during the month. We have the second Wednesday at 9 a.m. and the fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m.
And thank you. We appreciate the opportunity whenever it is. A big point here, and we've got a lot of people from the Alberton area directly impacted, but I don't think Meriwether County's citizens are typical of some referenced surrounding areas, be it Spalding County or Fayette or wherever. The people here choose to live here. They didn't just come down here on a job transfer and have a real estate agent driving by someplace. They looked around, or they had relatives, and they're here for the quality of life that exists. I think that the industrial classification is inappropriate for mining and quarries. I think that while they have a lot of common negative impacts, and positives, I guess, there's just, when I think of industrial, and there's a number of places in the county, that's above ground. I can see a building, parking lots and stuff. This is subsurface. I believe in the, and I know that this board is to provide us with leadership. I think that good leadership would be to instruct your building officials to come up, don't know how long it'd take or what it would take, and come up with a mining and quarry classification distinct to those practices, and not just going to waive a special use or conditional use at an industrial rezoning request. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bettis. This man may need some help. Is this James, what do you say name is? Jamie Thompson, yes. Forward, please.
My name is Jamie Thompson. I am from Harrelson. Part of Harrelson is in Meriwether County, and part of it is in Coweta County. I'm also the landowner of a big portion of the commercial property in Harrelson. I also represent Mr. Frank Wilkerson's estate, and they own property on Sullivan Mill Road, Swagger Road, and also the remainder of the property in Harrelson. At this time, our biggest concern with this is for the land on Swaggart Road and Sullivan Mill is that that property is in conservation along with hundreds of other acres in that area that belongs to the Wilkerson estate. The detriment to the camp leases, the land leases, Meriwether County is known for its game, its large game. Many people have put a large amount of money into reintroducing quail and other animals into the area for hunts. The loud noises and stuff from blasting, of course, would disperse the wildlife in the area. I also am speaking for the potential for the movies industry. As you know, Legacy Movie Ranch has made a large investment here in Meriwether County. For the numerous noise and trucks and all that would also endanger the possibility of the movies. The reason no one from Coweta County responded is we in Harrelson, and I speak for the city council on this part, found out about this when our clerk went to file some papers for a building in the county, inside the city, and that's when we were notified, and that's when we started doing our homework on the quarry on the possibility of a quarry. As I speak for the Wilkerson and family, I speak for me and my husband as owners of Harrelson, and I speak for the city of Harrelson, and we are against this. Thank you.
To me, this seems year, so that concludes that public hearing. I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on just a second, Ms. Ashley. What the problem is, Miss Ashley, your name was scratched out and somebody else took your slot. Well, I'll tell you, this is a little confusing. Come on over here, Miss Ashley.
Ashley Power. I live at 92 Beaver Chase Lane in Gay. It is off of Highway 85. My husband and I just bought a house down here about a year ago. He's lived here all his life. We have 3 kids. We chose to stay in the county for my kids. It's peaceful, it's quiet. It's dangerous when we're pulling off our road as it is. You get these trucks in here, it's going to be even more dangerous. We can't make a left turn off our road onto Highway 85 because of the traffic. You can't see it. 9 times out of 10, they don't do the speed limit here. We live off the land. My kids don't eat ground beef. They eat deer meat. Y'all put in, you're going to do away with our deer and our turkey, you know, all of the wildlife. It's just not a good thing. I mean, everyone here knows it's not a good thing. So for us and for our children and our grandchildren, say no to this. Just say no. It's not good.
Okay, thank you. And we did find your name off to the side. That concludes the impasse. At this time, I believe we can give rebuttal time to Mr. Fitzgerald. You've got 5 minutes rebuttal.
Chairman, could I pop this out so I could address you and the constituents? Can address you? Okay, fine. I'd like to include them in the deal here, but okay. All right, thank you so much. Number one, we had 21 folks against, and we had 6 folks for. Each one of these folks have addressed an issue that is very important. There's not a doubt about it. But nothing is new in the whole realm of things. The surface mining industry has faced every one of these things numerous times. One said we need our own rules here in regards to quarries. That's already been taken care of by the Georgia State Bureau of Surface Mines. There's a lady named Catherine Gregory. She runs it. And then there has to be an approval done by the U.S. Corps of Engineers, and those guys are experts in environment, hydrology, and the regulations and the stipulations are in place. Now, what is not known is in the event of a new quarry, the operator comes in and does a pre-mine survey. They will contact every contiguous owner, and out from that, and there's an extensive survey where they record. They take a photo survey of the dwellings. They take a survey of the wells, and it's a matter of record that if anything happens to any of those properties, there's no question. They just fix it. Arbor Springs the gentleman made a reference to Arbor Springs. Arbor Springs is the best example that anybody can come up with on why these work. That thing's been there 25 years. Would there be over 400 houses there? And they keep selling them, okay? And the lady that was the HOA said absolutely no problem with the quarry. A lady referred property values. Folks, you can look at those maps I submitted to each council member, and there would not be the density around the quarries if there was a problem with housing values. Folks reference noise, rock dust, silicon dust. The Hartsfield Airport is the largest employer in the state of Georgia, 60,000 people. And the guy who was the head of the environmentalist, I asked him, I said, what about the dust and the noise and the rocks flying everywhere? He said, if there's a problem, if there's ever a sickness, or if there's anybody got any kind of an issue, I don't know it. And this is the guy who headed up the environmental operations for the Hartsfield Airport. The guy at Cobb County, I asked him the questions. A lady said rocks flying into her roof and all that. Guy said, I've been here 25 years, it's never happened. I want to address the water. The water problem is an issue in limestone. It's not much of an issue in granite. It's all got to do with I am not a geologist, okay? I'm a guy that says, don't tell me how the watch is made, just tell me what time it is. I am told that it's such a rare issue in granite, okay, that if there's ever a problem with the well, no questions asked. They just come in and drill a new well. It's got to do with the limestones in one strata, and there's groundwater, okay, and the quarry could drain all the wells. It's not the way it is in granite. 30 feet under the ground in Alvaton is a granite reserve about the size of Stone Mountain. And if anybody's been to Stone Mountain or you have granite countertops in your house, you know that there's nothing there. And what happens, how the people get their water is, there are fissures. The water comes from the overburden. And what it does, it leaks down through fissures in the granite. And they'll drill that right down to granite. And each well is filled by more fissures. So if the quarry operator gets into a fissure, it'll drain a little one, but it won't drain them all. Now, that's the some part of it. The geologists can get into all the theory on that thing, but that's what it is. I'm going to go ahead and quote Arbor Springs one more time. $700 to $2 million houses. Folks, if there was a problem with the values on resale, I've got them right there documented. You have a copy of it. And please fact check me. I didn't put all this stuff in a hat and pull it out. Folks say, we love it here in Meriwether County. I do. I've been working here for 6 months. We've been on that thing, okay? So I got $100,000 invested, okay? So, it's not like I just drive by. Here's what I want to point out to commissioners, okay? There's a financial component here, okay? Folks love to come and live here, but statistically speaking, okay, the county's losing a population. In the last since I don't have my notes, okay, but I can show you based on census information, the county is losing populations, and folks, that loses revenue. Thank you for your consideration.
If you've got somebody that you want to make, okay, Mr. Gene, I don't hear any opposition. Come on to the mic. You can only
Yeah, I'd like to rebuttal on what he's saying is for the fact that he keeps bringing up what's going on in Coweta County and other counties, and they've been around for years and so forth. But the reason housing growth is demanding there is because of location. They got good county schools. They got county water. We do not have water here. He even mentioned that there is a chance that a well can go dry. He said it himself. And they'll just come out and drill another one. Well, what if the person only has 2.5 acres and they can't find another spot? You five sitting there cannot guarantee this county that you'll get water to their home and protect their rights to stay there on their property at this time. So on behalf of everybody here, and a lot of people would have been here, but they got to be at work today. It's 9 o'clock morning meeting. So I thank everybody that did show up. But bottom line is pointing out everything about all the other counties. Ask anybody here today. None of us care nothing about none of those counties. We care about Meriwether County. This is where we live. This is our home. I chose to come here, like the other gentleman said here. We come here on choice. not because they got so much to offer, work-wise. We come here for the peace, the quality of life, the unity among the county, working together as families. All that's important. So I would think y'all would sit back and take advantage of that and be proud of that and go, you know what, we can save a piece of country life for the state of Georgia. We don't have to be like Coweta County. We don't have to be like Fayette County or Fulton County, because we are Meriwether County. We today are asking y'all to vote no on this. Vote no on this amendment, because it's the only protection y'all have. Let me, Theron knows firsthand. Citizens can sue the county, and they can sue each commissioner on a personal level on certain issues. And today, y'all need to make the decision to protect this county and not even have a chance of opening the door for yourself in your personal lives to be in some kind of lawsuit when the others come and sue you. And none of that will take place if you don't open the door. You don't open the door to this matter and show the people of Meriwether County that you're proud that you're elected by them, you took an oath, you want to represent them, and today you're going to prove it and show it to them with your vote.
Come on, thank you, Jamie. And I certainly appreciate the patience that you folks have shown. And at this time, I'm going to go out of the public hearing portion. I entertain a motion. Do I hear a motion that we go out of public hearing? I have a motion. Is there a second? All let it be known by the uplifted hand, we're out of public hearing. What I think I'm going to do with this is, Ms. Shirley, this falls directly in your district. Do you want to speak first, or do you want to do after we do the discussion? I mean, after the... Okay, if you want to now, go right ahead.
Can you hear me now? Yes. First of all, I'd like to thank the citizens for coming out this morning. I know a lot of you made some sacrifices to be here. We've had hosts of meetings throughout the county to talk about the comprehensive plan and the vision of Meriwether County. We are in the middle of the county and city's comprehensive plan. We're not going to because we're still trying to decide what the citizens and what's going to be the best fit for Meriwether County, what Meriwether County would look like 10, 20 years from now. And in that process, we're going to be looking at land use, we're going to be looking at mapping, ordinance, transportation, all of that has to be discussed. And today I heard a lot of sharing on things, and part of this part of this comprehensive plan. And I think since we're still in the process of that I think it's important that we complete that process before any decision. So for me personally, I appreciate everything everyone have said, and I personally would like to say my point is that I think we should deny the text amendment until we complete our comprehensive plan. I think we have an opportunity to do more research and follow up on everything that's been brought to our attention. And for me personally, I do believe in getting the facts. It is hard sometimes not to deal with emotions. They do exist. We all have different feelings. But at the end of the day, we want to do the best for our county and for our county to grow. Thank you.
I too want to express my appreciation for everyone coming today. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had the opportunity to speak with many of you or respond to your email, and there's one thing that's obvious. Everybody loves Meriwether County. I love Meriwether County. This is my home. It's where I have a business, and I have chosen to try to represent the people of Meriwether County. But I want to challenge you to something as well. We've got to have revenue to make to operate Meriwether County, whether it's to have countywide water, whether it's to repair our roads. One thing that we can all do when we walk out of this building is to make a commitment to support what is in Meriwether County. Now, I know in conversations I've had with some of you, I've learned some things from you that I didn't know, and I think some of you learned some things from me. We have things in our county. Every time we go outside of our county to purchase something, whether it is your gas, it's your groceries, it's whatever, that sales tax goes somewhere else. We talk about revenues. Yes, most of our revenues that we depend upon are from our property taxes. Our sales tax revenues, Mr. Bill can tell you, has just gone down, down, down. Well, guess what? That difference has got to come from somewhere, whether it's from the property owners or whether it's from a business. So let's all make an effort or a commitment to support what's here. It may mean me driving from Warm Springs to the north end of Meriwether County to support something that's there. But it may mean somebody from the north end of the county driving to Greenville, driving to Manchester. And let's just be supportive of what we have. You know, our schools benefits from our taxes. We don't have any say so over, what happens with the school system. We need good schools. I think we all agree with that. Our schools have made great strides in the last few years, and hopefully they're only going to get better. But we want to keep the peace and quiet, but peace and quiet does not pave our roads. It doesn't provide the countywide water or anything else. Let's find what does make that possible, and it can start with each one of you and each one of us if we just choose. If we choose to support what is already here. We all know we've had businesses to close, whether it's our mom and pops or our independent businesses. We've had industry to leave for whatever reason. But let's just make a commitment to support what is here and continue to enjoy our rural life, but have some of the advantages and the things that we need to be able to continue to live here and call Meriwether County our home.
Commissioner Mary, would you like to speak?
First of all, I want to say thank everyone for coming out, and I do appreciate your emails, your phone calls, and also your texts. We had quite a bit of run this week, and today I have heard a lot of pros, I've heard a lot of cons. But however, the issue is still at hand, and as Commissioner Hines stated, we are in the process of doing our comprehensive plan. So at this time, I would like to suggest that we finish hearing what the rest of the citizen has to say, and then make our final judgment once all the facts are gathered. So at this time, I say no.
And I usually don't have much to say, so I'll keep it very short. I do appreciate all the calls, even though it was a little bothersome at times when I was in seeing people. But I do appreciate it. And actually, none of them were from my district. They were all from the Alvaton area. So thank you. I got a little bit of time to get to know certain individuals. The conversations that I had seemed to be on a educated level, so I do appreciate that very much. Some of them I did not have a chance to call back, as they pointed out to me today. But as the ladies have said up here, thank you very much for coming out. Thank you very much for voicing your opinion. And someone said that we are here to represent the citizens of this county, and that is exactly right. We are here to represent you guys. For the most part, I consider what I do easy because we have such a strong administrator here in the county, and he makes our lives extremely easy for us. But there are those times that we have to make difficult decisions, and this is one of those times that we have to do that. As I stated to a couple of you when you called, I could vote all day for this because it's not near me. If it's next to me, I honestly don't know how I would vote. But I can tell you this today, each and every one of you can count on me voting to represent you guys that are here today.
Okay. I have spoken to you for a good while today. I'm getting a little tired. Y'all, I'll have to apologize. But what I would like, I appreciate you coming down. It makes me wonder where you are for so many meetings that we have on a monthly basis. How many of you, this is your first time to be here? Oh my goodness, look at the hands. Now, we've got all kind of opportunity here in Meriwether County. If you want to serve on a board or serve on a committee, you would just be surprised where we could use you. And we would certainly thank you for coming. Again, thank you for coming here today and expressing your opinions. And it has been very privileged, I will say that. The phone calls, the emails, it is just almost unbelievable. What is text messages, I forgot those. It's almost unbelievable what modern communication does for us. But during that process, we have tried to be as thoughtful as we can with everything that went out. Now, somehow, misrepresentation got in the media. I've seen hard things, that sort of thing. And a lot of that is just simply not very important, folks. But here we are today, and it's so interesting to make a decision. Again, board, are you ready to vote? I'm going to turn back to Ms. Taylor. This is in her district, Commissioner Hines. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? By not hearing any, I assume you're ready to vote at this time. All of you that are in favor of the motion, and you heard the motion, please let it be known by an uplifted hand. So, the time has failed. Folks, we're going to declare a 5-minute break. There's no doubt, and I know but we're going to have a little bit of a
last week, and we have one more planned down in Lone Oak for Thursday. And then I talked yesterday with, communicated with I'll go back through this again and make sure that what I've done is to include where it's per year. I'll be sure that I got that,
Any further questions on item number 4 update?
Actually, what happens if we end up with a disaster here, and we sure hope we don't, then our percentage we have to contribute is reduced the same amount as the state. And he notes that this achievement was accomplished with many hours of hard work by our EMA director, Mr. Gregory, and our public safety folks, and Fran, and yeah, everybody, and the commissioner's input. And so I just wanted to say this is great because you know, not all communities achieve that level, and I just wanted to mention that.
Send us that by
It's actually in the minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get mine.
I just want to comment on that. That's a great accomplishment.
It is
Simply
great.
because when we did have the disaster and we had to identify other counties to go in and do other things with, and when I'm learning that when we don't have these things in place, it makes it so much challenging to do that. So once again, to all the work behind the scenes and everything that people do, we applaud the work that you all do. So thank you so much, which puts us in a better position to do other things. So thank you.
Both that and financial.
If we hadn't had this in place, the culvert thing about
That's me. If you remember, many months ago, we executed a donation agreement with Georgia Pacific. I think the ex-chairman had me sign that, but we made an adjustment to some of the language they had in there in reference to groundwater. It meant to us that they didn't want us to put a well there. So I talked with Georgia Pacific and said, no, that's just a standard thing. That wasn't supposed to be in there. And they were going to send us another one, which they did. But there's still some groundwater language in there. What I'd like to ask you guys to do is go ahead and approve that donation agreement with the changes that Darren and I and Susan put in there, negating that requirement for no groundwater use. You know, we have to be able to drill a well unless they want us hooked to their plant.
Then you want us to go ahead and authorize, wait till the change is made for signing.
Yeah. And the important thing is they went ahead and executed a quick claim deed so we can get the property in our name. So in essence, we're asking the board to allow chairman to sign that agreement in the quick claim deed with the language we're going to put regarding groundwater.
Y'all heard Mr. Bill. Anybody want to put that to a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passes, Mr. Bill.
The next item is the same thing with Department of Transportation, the Woodbury Fire Department. We finally got the quick claim deed from them. All we need to do there is just for you guys to accept that. They've already executed it. I don't think there's a place for us to sign it. Yes, ma'am.
Right, the Georgia Pacific.
Yes.
It's just a single page document.
Oh, okay.
I finally got mine.
I guess.
They're just, in essence, just signing the property over to us.
You have to actually accept it before the deed comes.
You accept it, then we go to the courthouse and record it.
Oh, okay. Do I hear a motion we accept Georgia DOT's executed quick claim deed?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? So passes. Fire station construction. Who's going to do the update? You, Mr. Gary?
Yeah, I guess we can maybe do it.
We were out there yesterday. We can tell you a few things.
You probably can. Yeah, you've been there more than I have. I mean, it's moving forward, and we're very proud of that. And some of the things Bill and I had to kind of work out to make things flow well with moving soil here and there. But I think everything's going very well. I think we hadn't set the plan yet. There's a couple more that we need to have a groundbreaking on as well. And then as soon as we get just a few things in order, we're going to start working on the next phase of it. So anyway, just wanted to mention that, and things are progressing well. We're going to be meeting with a contractor about every other week.
Okay.
And
it's going to be Yeah, every other week, it's gonna be the day before your regular scheduled meetings.
Okay, that way we can give you the latest updates. Any questions, commissioners? Okay, let's move on to number 9. Approve and sign Mass Mutual Resolution Amendment 1.
Mr. Chairman, number 9 and number 10 are really just kind of housekeeping with things that, we need to get executed. We transitioned back to Mass Mutual, and number 9 actually corrects it to allow the employee to have after-tax contributions. And then, of course, number 10 confirms that we will allow an after-tax hardship withdrawal, but it has to be hardship criteria, and also adjust the retirement age from 70 and a half to 65 to be consistent with Social Security.
Really, that needs to be...
70.
It was 70.5.
It's been that way forever.
We looked at it and I thought, we need to...
Split it out. And it has to be a half.
And that's
It'll be a half.
or you go retire. It's like-
After 7 years, this thing got another 6 months, I won't be retired.
Y'all won't be here, like I said.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we just make individual motions here. On number 9, approve and sign Mass Mutual Resolution Amendment 1. Do I hear a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Got that one out of the way. Number 10 is approve and sign Mass Mutual Resolution Amendment 2. And y'all know the explanation, so do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank y'all. All right, Miss Mary, next time my arm goes up, you may have to lift it.
I'm gonna help you out.
All right. Number 11, accept GEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant and authorize chairman to execute the agreement. Tell me about this.
This is something that we do about every 5 years. You remember we did it years ago. Actually it's a drawn-out process as well. We invite the public to come in, and the cities get involved, and it's basically an ordeal, but not as exciting as a comp plan. But GEMA does offer a grant to help pay for that. And that's what this document is. We filled out the paperwork 3 or 4 months ago. The plan's not due until the middle of 2020. But we'll probably have to get started probably the spring of next year. But they want it 6 months before it's due, just like the comp plan.
Now, do you need it signed to kick it off, or what is this?
Yeah, we need to go ahead and execute it and send it back to them.
Is this for the grant?
This is a grant, yes,
How
ma'am.
much is the grant?
It's
28,000.
We might order sign
It's
this.
in there.
Yeah. And it is to be used to develop the plan.
Well, actually, this is the update to the plan that we have in process.
Yeah. Approval of federal FEMA grant will be used to update, as he says, the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. Total approved cost is $2,800 with a federal share of $2,100 and a state share of $2,800 and a local share of $4,200. And we can probably do a lot of that with in-kind.
Right.
So is this something that, just like a comprehensive plan, that the federal government require you to have?
Yes.
It's a mandated process, so to offset the cost of technical capacity to do this, they offer you the grant.
Correct.
And so the grant is for capacity building, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
It's basically to pay for the consultant to come in
And do
and orchestrate all the meetings and formulate the plan.
Okay. It's due 2020?
I'm sorry.
It's due 2020?
Correct.
So what we need is a motion to proceed, initiate, and authorize me to sign the initiation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
So I need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Unanimous. Mr. Bill,
I will
but
quickly.
give me a concise report. Don't get wordy.
You've got those two reports in front of you. The
Yes, sir.
bank balances, the general fund still strong. Fire bond fund, of course, is still there for the most part. Is fire district operation and maintenance went over the $1 million mark. Yeah.
Whoa.
Fire
sure
district
did.
going in.
Oh, it is?
But that bond account will be coming down when the fire trucks show up and the construction progresses on the fire stations. And the property tax analysis, this is pretty interesting, well, to me, may not be to y'all, but I'm a numbers guy. 2017, right now we're at she's at 94.55% collection rate. 95 is what you have to have prior to the June submission of the next digest. And if I remember correctly, this time last year, she was around maybe 92 or 93. So that it looks like they're ahead in collections this year for the 2017 digest. And as I did this report the other day, even back to 2009, we still keep chipping away at that outstanding balance. It's $2,000 or $3,000, each month. But those 99% collection rates are really, really good. But she still needs to work on 2016 and 2017.
How's there the difference in the fire district fire bond with what your quote was on this 2017 line?
I noticed. You mean the percentage collected?
Yeah, the percent collected is a 0.11 difference.
Must be the way I set the formula or something.
Oh.
I noticed that yesterday as well.
I just wondered, this looks strange. Well, thank you for that, Mr.
All right.
Anything else?
Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Gay.
Yes, sir. I'll be quick as well.
I appreciate it.
We're working on, of course, you guys have been working on the courthouse wall, the thing that's been down stripe in the parking here in the last day. We're getting some pressure from them, and I want to help them as they help us on the section that they wanted us to contribute. That is that little section of sidewalk. So what I need to do is to go ahead and put together a bid package for that, try to get that package out, and then we'll be responsible for that portion because they've not billed us for anything on the wall and any of the work that's done downtown. And I think we can accomplish that within that budget very easily. The city of Greenville's going to donate some materials they already have, and so we're going to, but I do need to move that project forward.
How far will that sidewalk go?
Pardon?
How far will it go? When are you going to take it?
It'll go down to just kind of right across from the boater, if you want to cross the street, the boater.
That's right.
Right there is where it will go. And then the city of Greenville.
Well, I was asking, where will it stop?
That's where it'll stop.
Oh, it won't go any further.
It won't go. I mean, it'll just go
to the end of that vacant
lot
right
there.
Okay.
Is this a sidewalk?
It's a kind of completion of the balance of the streetscape downtown. Now, I've also talked with Greenville about the need for another sidewalk leading from the square down to past the grocery store and all there. There's a lot of people are walking on that, and I have made some calls to GDOT on that, and I think that could very well be a doable project that we can get done for Greenville in the future. But this was kind of our commitment to a portion we needed to do. And, I keep getting, pushed to get that thing lit. And so I really going to need to spend some time on trying to put that package.
But you're still talking two separate contracts for what you want to do to get down past voter registration and then for the remainder.
That
be a
remainder
separate
will
contract.
be something, that remainder will be something
right.
that we'll do in the future, or
Okay.
Greenville can do in the future, or GDOT.
Mr. Gay, I was trying to confirm, so you're saying that you will go from the voter registration, are you going down to where those buildings are, where those steps are?
And I need to go up and look exactly, Ms. Mayor, let's just say the voter registrar is right here.
Mhm.
There's a section of sidewalk here that did not get finished.
Right, I know where it
And
is.
that's the section we're speaking of.
Okay, and right there at the edge, there's like 3 steps, so I'm trying to confirm that you are going to go that far.
I think so. I'll need to go down and look and see where the steps, but I think there's another small road down there, and I think we're going up to, to that point.
Okay.
But I've got some plans that GDOT had originally on this that I'm going to use as part of the specs, and I got to go down and measure it and confirm it. And I'm probably going to have an on-site visit with the contractors where I can just show them, what we're going to do, where if they've got any questions, we can get them asked and answered. So I needed to proceed with that, and I wanted to mention that to you guys because I'm going to be working on that later part of this week. Our 2 outstanding culverts are nearing completion. We've had some concerns with the smoothness of one of those. It's been resurfaced, and we're going to be going down and taking a look at that. It may have a little wave in it that we need to deal with, And it's a matter of getting them to put some leveling in there and rework it. So we're going to work on that.
We are withholding money until that's checked out.
We have not received the last invoice, and on top of that, we're holding, I think, 10% contingency on that. It will not be released until we're done. And I want to get the engineers down again before we pay the final and make sure that from their perspective, everything is structurally sound.
Have you heard back from the contractor on the one that I had a question on Judson Bullock?
I have not. I will try to call him today, but I have not heard back, and I was going to try to go down there and take a look at it myself, because I think it's, and I told him, I said, you can't go across it slow because you won't feel the wave if you do, but if you go across it with speed limit, which is probably 45, that's when you kind of get that effect. And so he needs to go across it with that, and I think he will do.
Judson Bullock.
Oh.
We just finished the culvert
Culvert,
down there.
Okay, oh, Judson Bullock, okay.
Culvert. And then on another matter, we have got, I told you guys that GDOT was going to be willing to come in and pick up a bridge and replace it for us, and they're looking at Stovall Greenville Road, and they're moving through with that process. They've now sent out this request here for Section 106 processing, and that is really to identify any historic or preservation issues that need to be there. I don't think we're going to have any, because the right-of-way is only like, it's only 500 feet along the roadway and 75 feet in width. But anyway, I don't think we'll find anything. But that process is moving forward. We are working on our LMIG. We'll be getting that together here very soon and bringing that, because we want to let that in June. I passed out the short-term work programs to you guys already. We're going to need to start very soon to talk about SPLOST renewal, and I know we have this meeting with some of the cities on Friday, and I'd recommend that be a topic of discussion because we've got to get that done and everything going if we're moving forward with that. And then just a reminder of, I think this Saturday, no, the 21st, is our cleanup day, and our tire amnesty will begin at that point too. Beverly mentioned the other day, and she and I are going to get with Ms. Jane and talk about getting the word out more on the tire amnesty. And at the meetings, divisioning meetings I've been having, I've been mentioning that tire amnesty as well.
We need to make sure something's in the paper, because I mean, it's just next weekend.
Sure is.
Oh, let me ask you, it's the tire amnesty, because I think they mentioned it yesterday at the Lucasville City Council meeting. Is it each Saturday, the two following Saturday, or is it through the entire week?
Really through the entire
week through May the 5th. And it is required that they do have to show some ID that they are a resident of Marion County.
Right. And and if they come in with a huge trailer load, we're not going to, they're going to have to explain where they got all of this, because this is really for individual tires and things of that nature about that.
So we really don't have a limit?
Really don't have a limit that we've established, but I think it's just going to have to be common sense. If I come in with 4 tires, that's reasonable. If I come in with 25,
and then another load that comes on the heels of that, that's what happens.
Unless it's something that the cities have done. Now, if the cities have gotten together and collected and picked it up, we'll bring it.
I know Warm Springs has 30-plus tires right now to bring that they can collect it throughout the city.
And that would be that $7,200 we got?
85.
85. Okay.
That should do a good job.
Should.
And I'm assuming we'll apply for that again. Hopefully this will be ongoing.
Yes, we'll apply for it again. I hope the process is not quite as cumbersome as it was the last time, but anyway, we'll keep applying. We sure will. And then we got some paperwork to do with this, and we're going to meet with Tyrell and be sure that the guys over there collect all the data we need to collect to be able to, get our 8,500, because it's a reimbursable rate. So anyway, that's really all I have.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
Chairman.
Can I just say something about a tire issue from a public safety
You
standpoint?
certainly may. Go ahead.
Just not interrupt, but I would suggest y'all take whatever tires you can get, because I've got cameras out at sites right now. They're either going to dump them out here in the county somewhere, or we're going to have to go back out and recollect them and put surveillance on. So my suggestion, if y'all take this in consideration, is just take what you can get. It's going to save us trouble in the
Time
long
later.
run. Because in the north side of the county, we've got several sites in residential areas that they just dump these tires. And we're doing our job to try to catch them, but you know the difficulties related to that. And then also down what Commissioner Hadley was talking about, Cold Springs, right now, I rode the tires off down a hill there. And going off down the woods. So, I mean, if you can get them to get the people to at least bring them to you, it's going to solve the problem.
Comes out in public works and everything.
I had a problem that called me yesterday, wanted to know about the tire incident when it take place. I told him, and Steve had been dumping tires on his property.
Right.
And he wants to just bring them to the county, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
Charles, that,
Yeah.
you know, the more we can get out to the smoke gun, the better we are.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons we didn't put a limit on there, but we just need to watch and be sure.
I mean, I'm not trying to compound the problem. I'm just telling you it's going to solve it, because you got, what you have is a lot of people that operate these, I'll put it out there, jack legs, repair shops behind some fence, wall somewhere, and they're changing tires out, and their information is.
They probably don't have a
some way
business
to-
license.
No, absolutely. They ain't got a business license, they ain't got all that. Those are the ones that's dumping the biggest majority of tires.
You know, up in Union City, they had a gentleman that was, like you're saying, he was free to haul them off, and he hauled 12,000 tires and dumped them on the street in Union City. I think the cleanup cost him like $50,000.
Yes.
So that's a very valid point.
We're trying to catch these individuals, and we're in the process of doing it. We hope to make some progress, but I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah. We appreciate that.
Okay. Commissioner Bray.
Real quick, I gave this out last commissioner meeting, the Artists on the Square. I want to remind you that this began on April the 12th through May the 6th, and on April the 15th, they will be having a reception in downtown Rankin.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, very good. I would just like to say the groundbreaking, I thought that went rather smooth. I did. I told Miss Beth a while ago when I was driving home from Lutherville, I looked down, coming up my tire was a tick. I knew I was going to get into ticks. I did.
Miss Shirley said she was itching after that meeting.
I'm going to tell you what, when you're in pines and straw that deep, there's going to be ticks. But anyway, I thought that came off rather well. And Miss Mary was just meeting the Artists on the Square. Do y'all realize there's 3 events that Saturday down at Warm Springs, and then the school's having their bus rodeo that same this next Saturday. So, just a quick report on Lake Meriwether. I didn't mean to throw you under the bus down there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I thought about that going home.
No.
We had all put down what we wanted on the little Lake Meriwether cards that we were going to be carrying, and they asked me, so I put it on his desk.
Well, I hadn't, honestly, it's been so busy since the last meeting, I hadn't had a chance to check that folder, but I will. And I was just trying to be sure I followed up with what you guys wanted to do.
Probably after next Lake Meriwether meeting, we'll come in. We're working on a dock right now. We're taking bids. We've got 2. They ranging from $6,000 to $8,900, so we're curious to see what the third one's going to be. And while I got it on my mind, Mr. Bill, the little engineer that came out there on the ADA, the only thing I'd really like to get from him is when we make that serpentine, when we have to change, if they could give me something on that, it would certainly help us. Remember the guy that came out there with us that day?
I got his name written down.
Whatever his name was. He was from the Roosevelt.
Oh, Dave May, okay.
Yeah. Dave May.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we won't have any problem, more or less, with going across the dam or anything like that, or really down on the flat. But that serpentine, especially for wheelchairs, we might need a little drawing on that.
He mentioned what that was, but I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll run it down.
I certainly appreciate it.
I got some notes from last night's meeting.
We'll go over, okay. All right, I think it's Commissioner Hadley.
You mentioned about Warm Springs. It is our spring fling Saturday and Sunday. Right now, it looks like the weather's cooperating pretty good for Saturday, so I encourage you to come out on Saturday. Sunday's not looking so good. But we do have a huge children's area this time with a petting zoo and ponies and a rock climbing wall and face painting and games. They'll have their own little food truck and stuff down on that area. And then got a lot of live music and have some artists coming from as far away as Nashville. So I think you can make a day of it and there's a lot to do down
What time
there.
does it start?
10 to 6 on Saturday and 11 to 5 on Sunday. And like I said, right now it doesn't look like the weather is going to be so good on Sunday. And one thing I'm talking about the LMIG, this is just a comment I saw somebody had posted online, was just questioning how we decide what roads get repaved or whatever. And I know we don't have a, I mean, it's not necessarily set in stone. Public Works does give us some suggestions, but we try to divide it between all the districts where everybody gets something. And so maybe when we start talking about LMIG again, maybe we just reiterate that fact to the public that that's how we try to make sure we cover all the areas of the county. So, you know, you might have a bad road over here and one you don't think as bad, but it's in a different district, just trying to spread it out throughout the county. So maybe that just be something that.
And you know, Public Works does go and kind of, you know, the state has a grading system that they you know, will do, and we follow that pretty closely. You know, I wish we could have 5 times the dollars. We could certainly do more, and we could pick it out of each district, but you're exactly right. We try to split it up where we try
Well,
to
it's doing something in all parts of the county, you know, so everybody's getting something from it. And
I'm sorry, but I had a thought. Go ahead with,
No, that's
what I was gonna say on those roads, we might need to put a little sign occasionally that says LMIG or something that identifies it, because I walked up on a group here not long ago on Strickland Town Road, and they said, y'all not gonna believe this, the state of Georgia came out here and paved our road.
Oh.
Don't believe it.
You get credit where credit's
Yeah.
due. No, they didn't do that. And just like everyone else, this has definitely been an interesting couple of weeks with the number of calls and emails and texts and visits and all. But for the most part, I have to say that most of them have been good. I mean, it's been good conversations. I thought it went really well today. You did a good job with handling the meeting, and I thought it went well. And I would like to, maybe we keep these names that are on our list that sign up to speak, and we reach out to them to try to get them involved. Because like most, by show of hands, the majority of them have never been to a meeting.
No.
And there's so much more going on in the county and so many more areas that we could use some volunteers. And if they really, and I mean, they were all very sincere in talking about they love this area, and I don't doubt it at all. But we've got to grow in some ways, or we will cease to exist. And I'm like I said, I'm not saying industrial is the only way to go. That's not it at all. There's many ways to grow, but we could certainly use some help in bringing that to.
I think the worst part of that I hated was Miss Jane had worked and worked, and we couldn't help it.
I understand, and it's what Brian said, and I had said earlier too. You know, we represent the people, and when the people take the time to contact you and let you know how they feel, then that's who we represent. I mean, there's any number of issues that we have that we may not hear from anybody, or you may hear from 1 or 2. Well, then we do have to rely on what we think, because we don't hear from people. But when you hear from the numbers of people that we did, our obligation is to the people. And I know a lot of work had gone into it, you know. And I did a lot of research on my own. The quarries I talked to, I went to counties that were more like ours. I didn't talk to anybody in Coweta and those areas. And I did not talk to a single person who lived near a quarry that had an issue. Every single thing was positive. And one of these were in a neighborhood where the homes were $300,000-$400,000 and up. And again, the quarry was there first. But then I talked to the governments of these counties who had quarries, and their response was not positive. And I was surprised. I would have thought it would have been the other way around, but it wasn't. But there had been no wells to go try. There had been no, one quarry has a major creek running through it, and there had been no issues. But from the government side, it wasn't positive. It was not good partners trying to avoid paying taxes. They have a huge lobby group, just like the timber industry, and they are very powerful. And they work a lot to try to, obviously, to keep them from paying. Nobody wants to have to pay any more than they have to, but I think sometimes it was, one county in particular has not collected one dime on their quarry in all the years they've had it. And it was through a loophole, and something happened, all those taxes went somewhere else. So we have to look at it from the county standpoint as well as the residents. Like I said, I was surprised at what I found out, but still, it's not positive from the government standpoint.
And I know you guys put a lot of time into it as well. I know you do a lot of calls and, a lot of emails and answered back and, attended meetings. It really was a visioning meeting, but, we had to address other issues too. But, you guys put a lot of time into it, and I appreciate it.
Okay. Commissioner Hines?
I'm trying to be brief, that's hard for me, but I do want to say this. On Monday, I attended a Georgia Smart Challenge community, and later on, I would like for us to have someone to come and talk. It's more about urban than it is rural, but one of the things that they shared is that there's going to be a paradigm change on how government is done. Technology is going to change the way we do business on the public and the private sector. And because this technology is changing so fast, it's going to behoove us, whether you're in an urban or rural area, to know what that technology looked like. So ACCG and Georgia Power were the main sponsors, and I would like at a later date, later this year, to just bring that information back to us. It was mind-boggling for me, the data and everything that they're doing, but the decisions that we have to make, like the one today, based on your ordinance, based on your land use, they're using technology now to kind of help make those decisions go. And they talked about funding, private and public funding, because the resources and the revenue that local government used to depend on is not there anymore. So there has to be more creative ways of seeing that. And so there were researchers, civic engineers, the colleges, they were all there. And I thought it was very good information, and I'll be glad to share that with those who want more information. Once again, I think one of the things, and I'm hoping BOC will be an exception to help us communicate better and get out what we're doing in the county. I'm like that. There's so many good things. And at my focus meeting in Appleton, we mentioned things, and they said they knew nothing about it. I mean, so we have to figure out a way to make, but then on top of the leadership here, there's got to be a sense of willingness from the citizens to, so I applaud you for bringing them to the task. It's like everybody they don't want this, they don't want that, but then they're not willing to invest to some degree. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think we definitely. My last thing is, Brand brought something to my attention, and I really hadn't paid that much of attention until the other day, that some of our citizens' mailboxes are not labeled correctly. They don't have numbers on them, or one of the numbers fell off, and it's supposed to be 4 numbers, it only has 3. And then if all 3 mailboxes are on the street, if you go up the street where the houses are, the houses don't have numbers on them. So this is a public safety issue, and I'm not sure how we need to address it, but once again, at this meeting I went to, they were talking about the technology with GIS and how you can zoom in and all this, and how it makes your community more safer. So maybe at a later time, you can bring to us what percentage of what we need to do to encourage people to make sure that their mailboxes, it seems simple, but if the emergency people come and they can't find your house, and then you're going to say, well, you all were late. No, we weren't late. Your house is not labeled. It seems, common sense per se, but once you brought it to my attention, like I said, I was on Forest Road. There's 3 mailboxes right there together. One of them had no number on it. The other one had a number off, maybe flipped upside down. And then, when I noticed it, and then when I drove up the street, I noticed the houses did not have a single number on it. So if the ambulance or the emergency people got there, they wouldn't know which house to actually go to. So, I mean, it seems real, I think it's a major thing we might need to educate our citizens on.
Well, I try not to sound like a broken record, but reality is, it's not a problem with just one person not doing their mailbox or addressing their driveway or whatever. It's when you have a series of them in a row, now you're playing guessing games when you're responding to somebody's house, and it's all the way across the board. It's anywhere from the sheriff's office, to the fire department, EMS, UPS, FedEx. The only one that really knows what their address is really the postal carrier, just because they had, But yeah, at some point, we probably, maybe me and Ron, come up with some kind of,
Let me recall at the
Plan.
first of this, if everybody's mailbox post, I think it was, had to have a number on it.
well, the
And
ordinance.
then, if they did not have a mailbox and were using a post box somewhere, you had to have, and they used to could get them right here in the drugstore in Greenville. There was a piece of angle iron that had or aluminum that had your number on it. Did we quit doing that?
Who's we?
Meriwether County.
Did we quit enforcing it?
I mean, yeah, Ron, you were,
That just fizzled out. You know, when we first started numbering, we had different places around the county where people could go and buy these posts, I think $15.
yes, we did. And get your own number put on it.
Yeah.
I know in Upson County, and I don't know what they did, Upson County, they have those blue numbers. And I don't know whether they did this countywide or whatever, but if you go through Upson County, you'll see these numbers on the door. And if it's not on the mailbox, it's stuck down in the ground. So I don't know whether this was something that they mandatory, but when we talk about public safety, we talk about the emergency, I mean, from our law enforcement to fire stations, everything. It's important that this is able for them to find the location. I mean, it may be, you know, but I know the importance of having people there and getting there, and it's not their fault if your house is not labeled properly.
I think that we
can
can,
about that, what you just mentioned, Commissioner Hines, I talked to the county about that number, how they got the people to do that. And it was one volunteer fire station that actually went out and put those numbers up.
Really? Oh, wow.
So you won't see it all over the county, in Upton County, just one particular volunteer fire station.
North side.
How about that?
They went out and put it up.
That's just phenomenal.
you know, we could require on new construction, I believe if we modify the code for them to post the numbers and have that as required.
To get a CO.
Yeah, to get a CO. But then afterwards, you know, somebody runs over it with a truck or knocks it off or falls off, that's kind of hard to police. But we could at least, you know, deal with them being out there initially and do the building.
We had something again where people could pick something up where it's convenient.